Hello everyone and good morning. How are you all? I hope everything is going great. Welcome to the CA Final Indirect Taxes Power Batch that we are taking in 100% English live. So before we start with this session, we'll take 15-20 minutes to understand what is the purpose of this batch, how we are going to take it forward, how we are going to achieve this target of 83 plus marks in CA Final Indirect Taxes. Is the Josh? Hi, are you all with me? Quickly drop some heart, fire emojis in the comment section so that you can radiate energy to me and then we shall start. Yes, hello, hi everyone. So first of all, the duration of this power batch is 50 hours, which simply means the batch is not for first timers. If you have ever studied IDT, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 years back, you have some knowledge about this subject that is required. If you are a first timer studying indirect taxes for the first time, then you should definitely go with the Shuffle batch, which is a 100-hour batch where we understand every single concept, considering every topic to be important, and we also solve the entire question bank in the class only. So all questions, all concepts, learning, understanding, remembering, everything covered in Shuffle batch, which is also available in Hindi plus English as well as English language. But if you are not a first timer, you want to brush up your concepts, you feel there are some loose ends left and you want to cover the entire subject with me. Basically, this is kind of a first reading or first revision that you do. After you leave the subject and then after 1 year, 2 year, 1.5 year, you pick the subject back, or you feel like there are some loose ends that you need to close. Then this is the perfect batch for you, where we are going to cover everything in 50 hours. Now every day we will be having live sessions morning 7 to 11. So somewhere between 10:30 to 11 the class will end. 3.5 to 4 hours lecture we will be having daily. The target is 50 hours, which simply means approximately 13 or 14-day batch it is going to be. You will get 100% backup, which means even if you attend live or you don't attend live, one full view, 100% backup you will be having extra, which means if you are attending all the classes, then also you will be having one view left in the recorded mode, which you can use till examination, till your May 24 exam. So any topic you feel like you want to see again, you want to revise again, you will be having that backup. Just in case you miss the classes, which should not happen ideally, but still due to some emergency you are not able to attend live, then in that case you can use this 100% backup, the full one view available with you to cover up whatever is covered in the session. The major focus in this 50 hours is going to be on A and B category topics under IDT. Question answer solving is going to be limited because obviously we understand the duration is 45 to 50 hours, which means I first need to make sure that your concepts are very clear. Also, my second objective here is to make you learn the things. I make a special focus emphasis on making you learn the provisions in class itself only, so that after the session, what daily you have to do is just quickly give a simple one reading, which means revise everything, whatever is covered, and then solve questions so that you can attend the next class. My target is that in 14 days, when I cover the entire syllabus, when I finish off my batch along with me only, on the 14th day, your IDT is also done, which means now till exam you will have to just one more time see the entire subject, brush up, give test, etc. This is not a kind of a batch, understand. After a batch you always have to study again, solve questions, write things, give tests. No, this is not a batch. This is kind of me and you revising together. Okay, so here my main objective would not only be making you understand things, but my objective would be to make you learn things, just like we do in our first revision after we've taken up the subject. So wherever I feel like for this topic question solving is required, or for this topic by solving question only you will understand better, for those topics we will be doing question answer solving. Initially in 1 or 2 lectures we will solve more questions so that you understand how to actually approach the question, how to present the question. All those things also we will discuss, like what should be the format of the question, how should you present it, what about working notes, what should be the length of the answer. All of these things will be discussed in the batch. But if you are having an expectation that ma'am solve all the questions of the question bank in this batch, then you should definitely go with the shuffle batch, because that we are not going to do. The duration is almost half of the regular batch here. Shuffle batch is approximately 90 to 100 hours, and here the duration is going to be 45 to 50 hours. Yes, but the coverage definitely is going to be extensive. This will not be like any regular revision lectures that you get on YouTube, because the YouTube revisions are normally 20 hours somewhere, and this is more than double of the revision series time, which means the coverage is going to be exhaustive. But then we will have to see what is important and where we need to give more time. Along with the batch, we are going to have 5 block tests and 1 full course test. So the entire syllabus of 24 chapters of GST plus customs plus FTP, we've broken them down into 5 block tests, which means after every 2-3 days of the batch. So our target is somewhere between 13 to 14 days to complete the entire batch, which means after every 2-3 days, I will be giving you a block test, which will be of 50 marks, which simply means only 1.5 hour test. So like first we complete the first 3-4 chapters, I'll give you 1 block test. 1.5 hour time, you have to finish it off. Again, next 3 days, whatever we study, I'll give you 1 more block test. Now, I'm not going to evaluate this test. I will share the question paper. I will also share the suggested with you. You have to write the paper, self-evaluate, and then you can scan and send the paper to me. I will go through your paper. I'll make you understand where you have scored yourself more, where you have scored yourself less, where is the scope of improvement, where you can better your presentation. All those things I will tell you, but I will not assess your paper. But this last one full course, the 100 marks test that we will take after the entire completion of batch, this will be checked by the FAST team. So here we will check your paper, provide you proper comments, analysis, guidance, everything. So one full test along with checking is included in the batch only. 5 block test paper, I will share the paper with you, I will share the suggested with you, I will give you comments, but I am not going to check your paper, because I believe here this is the place where you are improving. So if you check your paper by yourself, compare what you have written with the suggested, only then you will get that realization that okay, here there is scope of improvement, here I could have done better. So checking yourself will ultimately help you grow and ultimately help you understand where are your problem areas. And then this full course test, obviously we will evaluate it for you. Ma'am, what about amendments? Do not worry. If your exam is in May 24, which means all the amendments that had come up till 31st October 2023 are going to be applicable for your examination. This batch is going to be 100% amended. Means if you are attending power batch, then after this batch, there is no amendment that is left that you will have to cover. Everything that is applicable for your examination, particularly all the amendments, I am going to cover in the batch itself. So no separate sheet, no separate video, nothing has to be referred by you. Everything is going to be covered here in class itself along with me. So no issue about the amendments. What about notes, ma'am? So we are going to refer our handwritten notes. We don't have any separate like main book, chart book. No, there is only one book of 390 to 400 pages. And this is the book with which we study in the regular batch. This is the book that we use in the power batch. This is the book through which I take revisions on YouTube video. And this is only the book that we use in 1-day marathon prior to examination also. This is the book that you are going to use while solving the questions, while doing revisions, which means basically till examination, you would have referred this book at least 3 to 4 times, and then it will be very easy and simple for you to cover the entire syllabus 1 day prior to examination. Because the book is handwritten, which means I have literally handwritten the entire book on the iPad. Therefore, it is 400 pages because when you write, your handwriting obviously occupies more space. So if this book had been printed, it would have been somewhere around 250 to 300 pages only, which is easy to cover 1 day prior to examination and which is also not very short. Because understand, I can also squeeze this book into 200 pages. What I can do is I can remove the languages, keep only the keywords, but ultimately that will not help you to write the entire thing. Because when you write in the examination, you are not able to frame sentences because you've only read the key points. So it is very important that whenever you are studying, see, if you study 100 words, you ultimately remember only 70 out of it. Then while writing in examination, you recall only 50, and while presenting that thing, you are able to present somewhere around 45 only. Now if I tell you that I am going to teach only 70 to you, which means this figure would ultimately come down to 40, which I don't want. So we are going to study things in a bit detail, but do not worry. Since 3-4 attempts, students are comfortably able to cover entire syllabus using our handwritten notes. The soft copy of this notes is not included with the power batch, which means if you've taken the power batch without books, you will have to take the hard copy of these handwritten notes separately. But question bank, I will share in the drive link that is provided to you in open printable format, which means it is okay if you don't want to purchase the question bank, you can take the print of question bank. However, even if you purchase it, it would be same only. If you feel that no, I don't want to purchase, no problem, you can use the soft copy, you can get it printed whatever you want. This question bank is open printable. So it is your call if you want to go for the question bank or you do not want to go for the question bank. What about doubt solving, ma'am? So we have a separate Telegram channel for the Power Batch student. For the Hindi as well as English Power Batch students, both we've made a Telegram channel. So in the drive link, I will add a Word file which will be containing a link to join this channel. After today's session, it will be shared with you. So you can join that Telegram channel, and any doubt you have only related to IDT subject. Now that is particularly for the batch students for the IDT doubts. So make sure whatever you are posting is related only and only to the IDT doubts in this Telegram group, and same day or maximum by next day, either any student, if not any student, I myself am going to solve your doubts. You can also personally DM me on 9714111666, WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere I am there. You can text me your doubts on WhatsApp also, but there it might take time for me to reply because I get a lot of DMs, and but here there will be targeted doubt solving. I know you are my batch student, so same day or maximum by next day, I will solve your doubt if you are posting it in this Telegram group. Even if you personally DM me, now I don't know if you are my batch student, if you are not my batch student, because I solve doubt for everyone. Even if you are referring my YouTube revisions and you text me on my personal number, I reply to you. Now that takes time, might sometimes it also goes to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days also, because I get like daily 400, 500 messages. So the delay goes on there, but it's okay. I will get back to you even if you text me personally, but make sure that you are posting your doubts in the Telegram group only. If there's nothing personal, means it is purely related to subject, then it will be solved here itself only. The link for this channel will be added in your Google Drive link that you are getting for the backup, so that the 100% backup that you will get, for that you will get a Google Drive link in which question bank will be shared, test papers will be shared, everything will be shared in this link. Here I will be sharing a Word file where you will have this link to join this Telegram group. Right. So this is all about the batch. Now what is my expectation from you if you are taking this batch? My simple expectation is the pace is going to be slightly on the higher side, because I am assuming you are not a first timer. So if you are studying IDT for the first time and going for this batch, listening to reviews of the previous batch students, that ma'am says it is not for first timers, but she ultimately covers everything, it is okay, you can go for the batch. No problem, you can go for the batch, but understand my pace is going to be slightly higher because I need to cover everything in 50 hours. So make sure if you are studying for the first time, or there's a very big gap between when you've studied last time, you can at least just go through the pages of the topic that we are going to cover in the next session. Every day I'll let you know what we are going to cover tomorrow, which means prior to the lecture, you can simply take 10-15 minutes and just flip pages. I'm not telling you to read, I'm not telling you to revise things and come. Simply flip through the pages. You should be knowing that, okay, today we are studying section 7, section 8, section 9. At least have those topics in your mind, some background about the topic, so that you will not feel that my pace is higher. Next, I want you to be regular in the classes, because if you skip one day, understand, we'll have a 3.5 to 4 hour session daily, and the total batch is only 45 to 50 hours. So every day we will be covering approximately 10% of our batch. So if you skip even one day, you will skip a lot of things. So make sure you are very much regular, because even if you think I will cover everything after the batch using backup, that Seems all goody-goody while listening, but it's not possible after live session to sit for 4 hours and cover up things, because next day again we will be having batches. So make sure and promise me that you will be regular, and unless there is something very much urgent, you are not going to miss these sessions. Third promise that I want from you is you will be 100% attentive while attending these classes. If you are using your mobile phones, if you are doing something else, you might skip attention, which I don't want. Stay entirely focused here. I will cover every single thing more than one time. We study today. While we start our next session, we first revise whatever we had studied in the last session. During this batch only, during this duration of 14 days, we will revise our cumulative subject at least 3 times, I am saying. In the Hindi plus English power batch, we did it 4 times. Like after 4 days, I made them revise everything. Taking half an hour, I made them revise everything that we had done in last 4 days. Then after 8 days, again, cumulative revision. Right from day 1, whatever we've completed till day 8. After 11 days, right from day 1, whatever we've completed till day 11. So on the last day of the power session, we actually took 45-50 minutes to consolidate everything that we have studied. So I will make you do cumulative revisions along with me. So what you have to promise is stay attentive here with me. Whenever I'm asking questions, you have to write here. I want you to involve all your senses while attending these sessions. I'm speaking, you're listening, your full attention is here. You're watching the lectures, you're reading the book. When I say shout out loud with me, you're shouting out loud with me. If I say write, you have to write, which means your ears, your eyes, your mouth, your hands, everything is involved here. There is no scope of not having an attention here. More senses involved, more active is going to be your learning. Do not consider yourself as grown-ups. We are in CA final. It is okay, ma'am. We understood what is the need to write. No. You have to study as if you are in kindergarten, as if you are in nursery KG along with me. How many times have you studied A for apple, B for ball in your life when you were in nursery? You were so excited when teacher used to ask you question. You used to just stand up, raise your hand and answer. That excitement has to be now here also. Now, since 20 years, you would not have revised ABCD, but you still remember ABCD because you had done active learning there. I want you to do active learning along with me. If I'm asking questions with that same excitement, you have to give me answers. Keep all of your senses involved. So just promise me here in the comment section that you're not going to use your mobile phones except for viewing your lectures. No texting, no baby babu. Nothing. Tell your babies that you will talk to them after the lectures. Morning 7 to 11, you will be here with me. I am very possessive with my students. If you are attending sessions here, no baby babu outside the sessions. Quickly promise that yes ma'am, we are going to be regular. Yes ma'am, we are going to revise things after the session and solve questions. Do homework, whatever you give, so that we can complete the subject along with you only on the 13th or 14th day of the batch. Quickly promise me this thing here. This is what I am expecting from your side. Then what should you be expecting from me? The target of 83 plus. Why 83 plus? Because in my May 22 examination CA final, I had scored 82 marks in IDT. Then of course, being my students, you have to score more than me. So the target that we keep here is at least 83 or plus marks in CA final IDT. This is not a target that we are keeping just aiming. You will realize during the batch that we are actually going to give so much of efforts to not just understand, but most importantly to remember things. Understanding is okay. Ultimately, what you remember is what you're going to present in the examination. So I will make sure to cumulatively give you at least 3 to 4 revisions during the sessions. We can skip on some C category topics that you can do on yourself, but all the A and B category topics that at least cover 80 to 85 marks of the syllabus, we are going to cover in class itself, along with a special focus on learning and remembering things. Ma'am, what about section numbers? Are we required to actually remember the section numbers in IDT? My batch students never ask this question. Why? Because I make them learn the section numbers. See, it is not required. Even if you write in examination as per CGST Act, as per IGST Act, it is okay. But I take that extra effort. We have developed some tricks along during this period of 1.5 years that I've been teaching, and using these tricks, you will automatically remember section number. Like right from section 7 till section 80, without even me asking you to remember section numbers, you will automatically remember, because that is how we study. when you remember the section numbers, there is a flow developed in the mind that you will not realize today. After 3, 4, 5 days of the session, you will realize that yes ma'am, learning section number was really important and helpful for us to recall things. So do not worry about how to present the answer, whether we are required to remember section numbers or not. Everything will happen smoothly. Everything is going to go in a flow in the batch. So what you have to do is give your full efforts, and I promise you this 83 plus target that students have actually achieved in our previous batches. See, exemption is very normal. If you're attending power batch, if you're giving so much of efforts, revising things, doing homework, exemption 60 is a very low target. Anyways, you're going to achieve it. I know what you have to achieve for me is the 83 plus target. Yes, so this is all that I wanted to tell you, that I wanted you to know before we proceed with the batch. Once again, I'm repeating, the batch is going to be in 100% English because the Hindi plus English mixed language power batch is already recorded. I had taken that batch 25 days prior only. So that is also fresh amended recording 25 days prior. So if you feel like you normally speak Hindi and you are more comfortable with the mixed language batch, you can go for the recording of that batch. However, if the issue is with discipline, or you're from South, or you don't understand Hindi, then welcome. We are going to complete the entire syllabus live in 100% English. I will try and not use Hindi here. But yeah, considering it's my mother tongue, sometimes Hindi would come, but it is okay. You will understand what I am saying. Ma'am, are you going to take the batch 100% live? The answer is no. The batch is not going to be 100% live. For some topics like foreign trade policy, exemption, advance ruling, these topics I will give you recorded session so that we can save time in batch and focus more on the important and core areas. So for topics where there is no understanding required, right? Like for exemption, you just need to know this is exempt, this is taxable, this is exempt, this is taxable. So it is okay. Even if I take that live, it is going to take 3 to 4 hours. I can give you a recorded session for the same. So for some topics, like almost I would say 20% of the batch or 15%, 15 to 20% of the batch I will give you recorded, which means the total duration is 50 hours. Somewhere between 7 to 8 hours recording you will get, and 40 to 42 hours we will take live in the class. So these recordings will be made available to you, basically more for customs and exemption, advanced ruling. Only for these topics I will be giving you recording. Other than that, everything we are going to cover in class itself. What material you have to bring in the class? The handwritten notes, the ultimate Bhagavad Gita that we refer. If you are studying from these handwritten notes, then no need to refer any other material, no need to even see the ICAI module. I have gone through it. I have made sure everything that is relevant for your examination is covered in these notes. So you need to sit with the handwritten notes. You need to have the question bank along with you. You need to have calculator, rough page and pen. Along with that, you need to maintain a very small notebook. Like 50 pages would be more than enough. I don't make you write much. I'll make you scribble along with me. So whenever we are doing revision, I will tell you that in your rough sheet, scribble, scribble, scribble. And you will also have to send me the pictures, right? I make this mandatory for students that if I'm making you revise something and you're scribbling along with me, you have to take a picture of whatever you've scribbled and send it to me or in the Telegram group that I'll tell you. So make sure you're not doing any chori, right? If I tell you to do something, you have to do that. So a 50 pages notebook, except for the rough sheets that you bring daily. Daily you will be requiring 5, 6, 7 rough sheets for scribbling and for question solving, everything. But notebook, maximum 50 pages is more than enough. For some things where I will give you extra examples, additional charts for you to remember things in a better way, this notebook will be helpful to give reference here, and then you can write examples, you can draw charts or whatever. Some comparative analysis that we are doing, like aggregate turnover. So there are 3-4 different types of aggregate turnover in GST, one for registration, one for composition, one for ITC, one for refund. So I will make you write all the aggregate turnovers together in this book only. So for this purpose, you might require a notebook. Other than that, relax. I'm not going to make you write anything. Your writing practice will be more after the session when you solve questions, when I give you the block test paper and the full test paper to write. Yes, so this was all that I wanted to tell you. Chalo, tell me, are you happy? Are you excited? Yes, ma'am. Chalo. So this is the index here. We break the entire syllabus into 3 parts. Now we are coming to the ultimate core thing. We are starting with the batch. We are starting with the subject. Yes. So we break the entire syllabus into 3 parts. See, majorly that we know that 80 marks is GST, 20 marks is customs plus FTP. So the total 100 marks paper, initially it used to be 75-25, but now in the new syllabus, the weightages are 80 and 20. So we understand that we have to give more emphasis, more focus on GST portion, because out of 20, we already know one question is going to be from valuation. Also, there is this 70% descriptive and 30% MCQ. So out of this 20 into 30%, we know there will be 6 marks to MCQ only. 5 marks we will be having valuation. One question of valuation always comes in examination. Then we know that one question out of baggage or assessment of duty, those 4-5 topics, one question is asked. So out of 20, we can simply predict 13 to 14 marks of paper. So we'll be focusing more on these topics only in the batch. And the major focus is going to be on GST. For FTP, I will give you a recorded 1.5 hour session which will do everything that is required for the foreign trade policy. So this bifurcation is okay. This bifurcation is according to weightages. Keeping that in mind only, we are going to proceed with the batch. The bifurcation that I am telling you is with respect to core subject, with respect to procedural subjects, procedural topics, and with respect to miscellaneous topics. So if I break the entire syllabus into 3 things, I would be saying that the core topics are the A and B category topics, like without understanding what is supply, you cannot proceed with the subject. Without understanding charge, there is no paper without the question of charge, RCM. There is no paper where the question of ITC is not asked. Refund again is a core chapter where you need to understand some things. So these kind of chapters like ITC, payment, charge, time of supply, value of supply, place of supply are the core topics which will only cover approximately 70 to 75% of your paper. Then if I talk about procedure, then how to take registration, what form to fill, how to seek advance ruling. Then some other procedures here is assessment, how the assessment is carried out, how the department does inspection, search or seizure. So all of these things are procedural, which does not carry very much marks in examination, but yes, you cannot ignore these things. These are typically the B category topics where there is some procedure involved, some understanding involved. And then we have this C category miscellaneous topics where our focus would be less in the power batch considering the duration. Like we can say job work. Then there is one chapter named as miscellaneous chapter only. So these kind of small topics that are miscellaneous, okay, not always asked in examination, but sometimes if asked maybe in MCQ or 3, 4, 5 marks weightage, these kind of topics, we will try that we don't skip them. But yes, our major focus will not be on these chapters. I might give you recording for some of these chapters, like accounts records, job work, miscellaneous topics, all of these kind of topics. Right. So this is how we break this subject. Now GST in India and introduction. This chapter is now not in your syllabus. So initially I used to give a notes of like 10-15 pages for this chapter, but now in new syllabus that is applicable May 24 onwards, this chapter is removed from your syllabus. Then also why you have given, ma'am? Because some things here are important for your understanding. You have to understand these things, only then you can proceed forward with the remaining syllabus. So this entire GST in India introduction is only for understanding. So one day prior to examination, you are not expected to revise this particular topic. Only 5-6 pages I have given here just to give you an idea. Like we are studying GST, Goods and Services Tax. You at least need to know what is a tax. I mean, that is very much core. Even if it is not applicable for examination, you should be knowing what is a tax, what is direct tax, what is indirect tax, what are the things which are outside the purview of GST, how we had made constitutional amendments so that we could bring GST into force. So there are these small things that are just important for your fundamental understanding. So it is okay even if you don't remember these things. I am not even expecting you to remember these things. So we are not giving time to this chapter for now because it is anyways not applicable in examination. I have uploaded revision for the same on YouTube in English also. If you are very much interested, you can go through it. But it is okay because it is not applicable for exam. And our major focus in the power batch is to understand things that are applicable for examination. I will just take 5 minutes to give you an overview of whatever is contained in this and whatever is important for your understanding of the latter part of the subject. But it's okay, no need to remember anything from this because this is, I'm again repeating, not applicable for examination only. ICAI has very much clearly written that this is only for understanding and we are not going to ask anything out of this topic. Still, we will take 10 minutes just to go through and understand what is given here. Right. Chalo. So, the subject that we are studying is Goods and Services Tax, GST. So we understand it is a kind of tax that is applicable only on goods and services. So one thing is very clear, if something is neither goods nor services, this kind of tax will not be applicable. But ma'am, first tell us, what do you mean by tax? What do you mean by the word tax? Anyone, chalo, tell me. Now you have to be active with me. You have to be active with me because see anyways, my core teaching is in Hindi only. There were a lot of students requesting that ma'am you take power. I only take regular batch in English. But since a lot of students were interested for the power batch in English, I'm taking. Now I don't normally think in English. So you might sometimes feel language issue with me, but I try always that you understand things very smoothly. But yeah, considering English is not my first language, I speak Marwadi, I speak Hindi, I speak Gujarati. You might sometimes feel that lag in language, but I make sure that I try to smooth things out for you. So you also have to be little more cooperative with me. If I ask you something, engage yourself in the lectures, give me answers so that I feel I am not giving a speech, but we are communicating, we are talking, we are understanding. That will help the quality of the overall batch to improve. So yes, tell me what do we understand by the term tax. And also during these lectures, if any time you feel that ma'am we are having some issue with your accent, your English accent, or your speed is slow or your speed is fast, you can definitely tell me. Because I also accept English not being my first language, you might face slight of an issue. I make sure you don't. But still at any point of time if you feel, let me know. I will correct it for you. Right, chal. So now tell me, what do we understand by the term tax? Ma'am, it is some type of a compulsory payment that you need to give to government. Tax is some type of a compulsory payment that you have to make to government. Why ma'am? Why would we give? Is government our girlfriend? Is government my boyfriend? Why should I give him? Array, you use the facilities of the government. You use the facilities of the government. Government runs the administration of this nation. So obviously to run the administration smoothly, to provide you the facilities, government would be requiring revenue. And what is the source of revenue for government? Taxes. So tax is a monetary, pecuniary, compulsory payment that you need to government, that you need to give to government. Understand, it is not a donation. Like it is not a voluntary contribution that today I feel like giving taxes, so I will pay taxes. Today I don't feel like paying taxes, so I will not pay taxes. You cannot do that. It is not a donation that you're giving to government. You don't have a liberty to choose whether to pay taxes or not. No, you will have to compulsory. You will have to compulsory, mandatorily pay taxes if they are applicable to you. So we say it is a burden. It is actually a monetary pecuniary burden that is laid on individuals, property owners, that they have to make this payment to the government so that they can support government to run the administration of the nation. It is not a voluntary payment. It is not a donation. It is enforced contribution. You will have to pay the taxes. Now taxes can be of two types. One is direct tax and one is indirect tax. Now being CA final students, you obviously understand the meaning of direct and indirect taxes. So in direct tax, the person paying the tax and the person bearing the burden of the tax are same person. So if I earn income today, let's say my salary is 9 lakh per annum. Now that check is coming and here TDS deducted, I have to pay income taxes. So I am the person who is earning the income. I am the person paying taxes out of it. I am the person bearing burden of it. This is known as direct tax, where you directly feel the pinch. Now, direct taxes are progressive in nature. What do you understand by the term progressive? See, today if you earn 50,000 rupees, I earn 50,000 rupees, or Mukesh Ambani earns 50,000 rupees. This is you, this is me, and this is Mr. Ambani. Let's assume you are only student not working. So you have zero income and you earn this 50,000. You might not even be required to pay taxes on it, because anyways we have basic exemption limit in income tax. So if your total income is only 50,000, you might not actually be required to pay any taxes out of it. Let's say me, I earn some amount. Let's say I come in a 20% or 30% slab rate. Then for me, earning extra 50,000 would require me to pay taxes, maybe 20%, 30%, whatever. But Mr. Ambani is in a slab rate where he is also required to pay surcharges. His income is more than obviously 50 lakh 1 crore, he is earning in crores. So earning additional 50,000 would actually trigger more amount of taxes compared to you and me, which means as my income increases, as my capacity to pay increases, government would be demanding more taxes from me. This is known as progressive nature, whereas the indirect taxes are regressive in nature. The indirect taxes are regressive in nature. The person paying the taxes and the person bearing the burden of these taxes are not the same person, they are different. Means the person paying the tax ultimately shifts the burden on the ultimate consumer. The best example for indirect tax is GST, customs, that we are going to study. So today, if I purchase BMW. Oh ma'am, Balaji masala wafer. Let's talk with respect to our stipends. Okay, so the BMW that we can purchase considering our articleship stipends is Balaji masala wafer. 10 rupee packet it is. So if I purchase BMW, you purchase BMW, or Mr. Ambani purchases BMW, for everyone, if let's say the MRP is 10, which means 9 is the taxable value, 1 is the GST portion. So I will also pay 1 rupee tax, you will also pay 1 rupee tax, and Mr. Ambani will also pay 1 rupee tax. This is known as regressive in nature. Now you actually are not earning anything. You would say, ma'am, why should I pay taxes? I'm not even capable enough to pay the taxes. But no, for GST, for indirect taxes, Mr. Ambani, even though he is more capable, even though we are less capable considering, we all have to pay same amount of tax only. So the person selling the Balaji masala wafer to me would pay the taxes to government, but he would not pay out of his own pocket. He would shift the burden to the ultimate consumer. So you paid 10 rupees to the shopkeeper without even realizing that the chips are not worth 10 rupees. The chips are only worth 9. And 1 rupee is the GST, the indirect tax that you have paid. The shopkeeper will collect this 1 rupee from you and pay it to government ultimately. So this is the basic difference of direct tax and indirect tax. This is progressive, this is regressive. Here the person bearing the burden and the person paying taxes is same. But here the person paying is different because he would shift the burden to the ultimate consumer. And we are going to study GST, goods and services tax, which is a type of indirect tax. So we obviously understand that the burden is shifted. Coming back to GST, our subject, goods and services tax. We understood what is the meaning of tax. Now, prior to understanding what is goods and what is services, one more thing that I need you to know. As such, today, there is one nation, one tax. So all the earlier taxes like VAT or sales tax, any octroi, any local body taxes, whatever indirect taxes were prevailing before 2017, before the implementation of GST, are now subsumed in GST. They are all, see, excise service tax, CVD, countervailing duty, special countervailing duty, CST, any kind of surcharge, tax on lottery, betting, gambling, purchase taxes, advertisement taxes, all of these taxes are today subsumed in GST. Therefore, we call GST as one nation, one tax. But there is this list of few items on which today also excise or sales tax or VAT are being levied. Means these particular things are outside the purview of GST. Even if GST is being implemented in India, all of these taxes are subsumed in GST, but still there is a list. Now see, there will not be any question asked from this, but while we do questions of ITC, composition, you will realize that they assume that you already know this. They assume that you have knowledge about it, that GST is not levied on these items, and therefore, for further understanding, it is important that we first go through this table. So the first item is alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Now, only alcoholic liquor? No. Particularly, they have said alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So, understand, let's say I have a factory where I manufacture sanitizer. Now, alcohol is also used in the manufacturing of sanitizer. That is industrial alcohol. GST would be levied on it. We are particularly talking only and only about liquor that is used for human consumption. GST is not levied on the same. Why? Because anyways, super high excise and VAT was being levied prior to implementation of GST. Now in GST we have a maximum rate that more than this GST cannot be levied. So the states were not happy because ultimately all the revenue coming out of alcoholic liquor goes with the respective state government. So the states were not happy. They were saying that we will lose on revenue that we are earning on alcoholic liquor if we implement GST. Government said, okay, no problem. We will keep alcoholic liquor outside the purview of GST only. So in the charging section that we are going to see tomorrow, in the charging section itself only, it is written that GST is not levied on alcoholic liquor and it is not going to be levied on alcoholic liquor in future also. So today also on manufacturing of alcoholic liquor, state excise is levied, and on sales of alcoholic liquor, if it is intra-state sales, then VAT. If it is interstate sales, then central sales tax is levied. Right. So right in the charging section only it is written that GST is not levied on alcoholic liquor and it is not even going to be levied on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. It is outside the purview of GST only. Whereas if we talk about these 5 petroleum products, high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude, on these 5 products GST is not levied today. But we are waiting for a future date when the GST Council will give recommendation to government and government will issue a notification saying that from this date GST is going to be levied on these products. Till then we've said them, what we are saying, you 5 products go take a nap. We are saying, you 5 products go and take a nap. Whenever we will be wanting to implement GST on you, we'll wake you up. So till then we say that nap. On the HNAP 5 petroleum products, GST is not levied. See, understand the difference. We are not even planning to levy GST on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. It is outside the purview only. It is written in the charging section only. But on these HNAP products, no GST levied today. But from a future date, it is going to be levied. Till then, we continue to levy central excise on manufacturing and VAT CST on sales, depending upon whether it is intrastate or interstate respectively. What are these HNAP items? With me everyone in the comment section. With me everyone in the chat section. Full form of HNAP: high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. Ma'am, you also write with us. Okay. High speed diesel, motor spirit. I'm not expecting you to write like full sentences or full word or full handwriting, full spelling. No, even if you write like MOTSPI, I'll understand that okay, you are wanting to write motor spirit, it is fine. What I basically want you to do is just write. Spellings, grammar, nothing matters. Just write, be with me. And people who will view it in recorded mode or in backup mode, you have to sit with a rough sheet, and whenever I tell you to write, you have to scribble things along with me in the rough sheet. Okay. So HNAP says high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. Aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. These are the products. We've said, you all go and take a nap. We will levy GST on you from a future date whenever government notifies on recommendation of council. Then entertainment tax. See, normally entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST, but only and only the entertainment taxes that were levied by local bodies. The power to levy those entertainment taxes still remains with the local bodies only. So generally, if someone says, is entertainment tax subsumed in GST? The answer is yes. But particularly the entertainment taxes that are levied by local bodies, if that is not subsumed, and the power to levy entertainment taxes still remains with the local bodies. Then talking about tobacco, see, there are only two products today on which GST is not at all levied, right? Alcoholic liquor and the HNAP products. No GST, means manufacturing, excise and sales VAT GST is levied. But if I talk about tobacco and drugs, tobacco and opium, Indian hemp, narcotics basically means drugs. On these things, GST is levied. On sales of these items, GST is levied, but government has not discontinued excise on them also. So today on tobacco, on manufacturing of tobacco, excise duty is also levied and GST is also levied. Same goes with drugs, narcotics. Excise duty is also levied, GST is also levied. So we cannot say they are outside the scope of GST, but yes, it is not only GST that is levied on them. GST is levied along with excise duties for tobacco and drugs. And last is real estate sector. So if I am selling a completed land or building, then property taxes and stamp duties are levied and it is outside the scope of GST. So today if you are staying in a house, you own a property and you sell that property, no GST is going to be levied. But ma'am, we purchased a new house just few time back and the builder levied GST. We will discuss that point later. See, if your land building is not completed, if your immovable property is still under construction, not completed, you have not got the completion certificate, in that cases, we consider it as supply of service, GST is levied. That we are going to discuss in section 7 later on. For now, what you have to remember is sale of completed land building, sale of a immovable property, GST is not levied. I am not expecting you to remember all this. I am just expecting you to have an understanding of these things, that if at all any question says that we are particularly dealing only and only in alcohol, you need to understand that okay, for alcohol GST is not levied. That simple knowledge I am expecting from your side. We will just quickly revise everything that we have completed till now. Okay. So what we saw, what are the items not subsumed in GST? First is alcoholic liquor for human consumption. State excise to be levied on manufacturing plus VAT or CST depending upon intra-state sale or interstate sale to be levied at the time of sales. Then we talk about high-speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. GST not levied today but will be levied from a future date. Till then, central excise duty is levied and plus VAT CST on sales. Entertainment taxes normally subsumed in GST, but only the entertainment taxes that are levied by local bodies. These entertainment taxes, power still remains with the local bodies. Then for tobacco. For tobacco, GST is levied. It is not outside the purview of GST, but on manufacturing, central excise is also levied. Then talking about narcotics, drugs, Indian hemp, opium, I would say again GST is levied, but on manufacturing, state excise is also levied. Ma'am, how to remember whether central excise or state excise? See, two things. In Hindi, we call them nashe wali cheeze. Nashe wali cheeze basically, which means things that intoxicate you, means if you consume alcohol, you are intoxicated. If you consume drugs, you are intoxicated. So for these kind of items, state excise is levied. What is left is petrol, the 5 petroleum products and tobacco, for that central excise. So the two things that keep you high, alcohol and drugs. The two things that keep you high, alcohol and drugs, you levy state excise. Other than that, we levy central excise. Just a trick to remember. Anyways, this is not going to be asked in examination. No need to remember. Still, if you want to, I am giving you this technique. And last is sale purchase of immovable property. Their stamp duties, property taxes are levied and no GST is going to be levied. Right? Done, clear and understood. Chalo. This is all. I am not teaching you constitutional provisions etc. because that is not applicable for examination. Now we come to important terms. Now, this is important prior to starting any particular topic or prior to starting any particular section, because these words are going to be repeatedly coming, means you will repeatedly see this word supplier, recipient, goods, service, consideration, related person, distinct person. So before starting with the core subject, it is important that we understand definition of all of these terms so that we can then smoothly carry forward our batch. So the first thing here is taxable event. What do you mean by the term taxable event? See, for any tax to be levied, there has to be some event that triggers the levy of that tax. Which means today if I earn something, if I earn income, only then income tax can be levied on me. If there is no income, how can you levy income tax? If there is some dealing in property, only then property taxes can be levied. There's no property, how can property tax be levied? If I import something, only then import duties can be levied. So simply, every tax has some taxable event which automatically triggers the tax consequence. So what is the taxable event in GST? There is only one comprehensive whole and sole taxable event under GST, which is known as supply. So if at all there is any supply of goods or services, only then GST can be levied. If there is no supply, then GST cannot be levied, because ultimately the taxable event of GST is supply only. Then we talk about person. Now person does not only mean an individual. When I say person, if only an individual comes in your mind, then you are wrong. Person includes everyone. This thing we also study in income tax. That person means individual, firm, company, LLP, AOP, BOI, HUF, trust, local body, cooperative society, everything is included in person only. So if at any place it is written that any taxable person, registered person, now person would include everything, HUF, individual, AOP, BOI, company, firm, LLP, partnership firm, everything is considered as person only. Now coming to core thing here, goods. This is important. MCQs might come out of it. Also, using these explanations and clarifications that we'll study, sometimes a 3, 4, 5 mark question can also come up. Okay, see. GST, Goods and Services Tax. We've already understood what is the meaning of tax. Some kind of a compulsory payment that we need to do. Whenever supply is happening. Supply of what? Supply of goods or services. So if there is no goods, no service, which means GST cannot be levied. What do we understand by the term goods? We break the definition in 3 parts. Goods means other than but includes. You have to remember this here itself along with me in the batch only. So full focus here. Goods means other than but includes. Very simple. What do you understand by the term goods? Goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property. So one thing is clear, land which is an immovable property is not a goods. Building, immovable property, not a goods. Only and only movable properties. All kind of, every kind of movable property, which means my mobile, calculator, PC, makeup items, stationery items, this pen, every kind of movable property that you can think of, everything is considered as goods. So goods means very simple. Goods is a very, very broad term including every kind of movable property. Other than we say money and security. Other than money and security, which means money and security might be movable, might not be movable. We are least concerned. We are particularly telling you to exclude money and security from the definition of goods. What is money and what is security? See, money simply means anything that is recognized by RBI, which is accepted by RBI as a medium of exchange, as a medium of transaction. So the Indian legal tender, INR, Indian National Rupee, even foreign currencies, promissory notes, check, bill of exchange, everything is considered money only. In fact, CD and CP, certificate of deposit and commercial paper are also considered as money only. So today if I give you a 100 rupee note, will it be considered as a supply? No. I give you 100, you give me 10 rupee 10 notes. You give me change, 10 rupee 10 notes, I give you 100. Is this supply? GST will be levied? The answer is no. So particularly money. Now you might say that note is a movable property, I am giving you, this should be supply, this should be goods. No. We are clearly saying We are clearly saying that every kind of movable property is goods. Every kind of movable property is goods, but particularly money and security will not be considered as goods. Money, we understood that everything recognized by RBI, accepted by RBI as a medium of exchange, as a medium of transaction, everything is money. What is security? Exactly what you are thinking. Shares, bond, debentures, government securities, right in any kind of securities, everything is considered as security. So today, let's say I sell an MRF share. I'm having shares of MRF and I sell these shares. Now you might say that there is a supply happening, but on sale purchase of shares, bond, debenture, stock, GST is not levied. Why? Because securities are not considered as goods or services. So they are neither goods nor services. See, goods definition we are seeing, they have particularly excluded. Even in service definition, they have excluded security. So it is very clear. It is very clear that goods means every kind of movable property. Other than, you might say money and security are movable, immovable, we are least concerned, but particularly money and security will never be considered as goods. But includes point says that there might be certain things which are not movable, like actionable claims. Actionable claims are not movable, but we still want to consider them as goods. Then we say any growing crops, grass or anything. Growing crops or, yes Pulkit, growing crops, grass or anything that is today attached to land. Let's say this is land and we are growing some crops here. So something that is today attached to land, which means it is not movable. If I see a crop which is growing on land, land is not movable, that crop is fixed to land, it is also not movable. But if we have agreed that we are going to sever these particular crops under a contract of supply, not today, but whenever the crops grow fully, we will harvest them, cut them, sever them from the land and sell it separately. Then today also, these growing crops will be considered as goods only. What do we understand by the term actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling, something the happening of which is contingent. Means we don't know if it will happen or not. But if at all, my lottery, I win a lottery, it has happened, then I can go against it in the civil court. Also, I can take an action against this claim, which means even unsecured debt. See, for secured debt, we have security that if that person is not paying, I can recover through security. But unsecured debt, there is no security. Again, this also becomes contingent. Happening, non-happening, I don't know. So any claim to unsecured debt is also considered as actionable claims. So actionable claims or growing crops, grass or anything that is today attached to land, but we have agreed under a contract of supply that we will sever it and sell, then also you consider them as goods only. This is the entire definition of goods. Come on, try to recall with me and write here. Goods. We break the definition into three parts. Tell me, goods means what? Goods means other than but includes. You have to learn things along with me. I am repeating this multiple times. You will not get time after the batch because in homework, I will give you something to revise. I will give you some questions to solve because we have to finish up the subject. You don't have to just attend the batches. You have to give additional time after the batch, solve questions, revise things and finish this up in 14 days along with me only. So when I am giving time to revision, stay attentive and write things. Goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, particularly, but includes actionable claims and growing crops. Now further thing we understand, growing crops, anything attached to land which is agreed to be severed under the contract of supply, that is all okay. For remembering purpose, actionable claims, growing crops. This is the definition of goods. Now some small things that we've missed out, some circulars clarifications we'll see and also go through the entire topic from the notes. So goods means every kind of movable property, say stationery, makeup, medicines, whatever that you can think of, other than money and security, but includes actionable claim, growing crops, grass, anything that is attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under the contract of supply. This is known as goods. What is money? Indian legal tender, which is INR, foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, any instrument that is recognized by RBI. But it will not include something that is held for its numismatic value. Can any one of you tell me what do we understand by the term numismatic value? This I have already told you that money will also include CD and CP. Certificate of deposit and commercial paper is also money. A circular was separately issued to clarify this thing, that CD and CP are also money. Tell me, any one of you, what do we understand by this third point, saying that money will not include currency held for its numismatic value? See, let's say I have a collection of old coins. I have a collection of old coins. I have a collection of a very special series notes. Like all the notes that I'm having, all the 1 rupee note that I'm having, all the 5 rupee, 10 rupee notes that I'm having are of a particular series, 001, 002, 003, something like that. Which means this antique collection of my notes or coins, let's say I have 100 rupees worth of ancient coins. Means if I total out, there's 25 paise, 50 paise, 10 paise which were available earlier, not available today. The total worth is 100, but I can sell those coins for more than 100. There are people willing to buy these kind of notes, these kind of coins, which means for me, I am not using them as money. I am using them as goods. By giving 100 rupee worth of coins, I will actually be asking maybe 500 or 1000 rupees from that person, because these are antique coins, antique notes, some kind of special series notes. So basically we say, if you are holding any kind of currency to use it like goods, you are holding that currency for its numismatic value, then that is not money. So that selling of antique coins would be considered as dealing in goods, and then GST would be levied there. So they are simply saying, if you are using money as money, no GST levied. But if you are using money, currency as goods, trying to sell that money for worth of more than that money, in that case we say that that is not included in money. So currency held for numismatic value is not money. Now something which is not money but movable automatically becomes goods. Tell me, is it clear to all of us? In our Hindi batch, we ask these 3 questions. समझ आ रहा है, मजा आ रहा है और याद हो रहा है क्या? Which means, are you understanding? Are you enjoying? And also, are you able to remember things along with me? I will always keep asking you these 3 questions throughout our batch. समझ आ रहा है, मजा आ रहा है, याद हो रहा है. Are you able to understand? Are you actually enjoying the sessions? And are you able to remember things with me? So you have to give me this answer, yes, yes, yes. Or if you are enjoying, you are understanding, but you're not able to remember, yes, yes, no, whatever it is, give me answers so that I can understand what is happening in the batch. So quickly tell me, understanding, remembering and enjoying the sessions, yes, so that I can proceed further. Then security means simply share, stock, bond, debenture, mutual fund, government security, write in this everything. Derivatives, forwards, futures, even if you are dealing, if there is a net settlement. So for forward or future, there is net settlement, cash settlement. That is also security, no GST. But let's say you are dealing in a commodity future, commodity forward, and you decide to take delivery of it. So today I entered into a forward contract for soybean, 3 months maturity forward contract for soybean, and I actually take delivery of that soybean. Then it would attract GST. Then we will say that it is goods. But if you are net settling, cash settling your forward futures derivatives, then it is not considered. Then it is not goods. It is considered as security, which is outside the purview of GST. Actionable claim, again, no need to remember the definition. I've already made you understand that other than secured debt, which means claim to any unsecured debt or something which is actual or constructive, which you can just go into civil court and claim your right against it. It might be conditional, accruing, contingent, happening, non-happening, we don't know, but if it happens at all, I can go to civil court and exercise an action against it. We call it as actionable claims. Best example, lottery, betting, gambling, etc. Now here, this new term is added, which is specified actionable claims. We know about a lot of actionable claims, but particularly you need to remember. When I say remember, you have to 100% remember these 6 points which are specified actionable claims. At various places, they are treated separately compared to the normal actionable claims. With me, what are these 6 specified actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. 6 specified actionable claims. Everyone with me. For now, just remember, when we go to supply chapter, you will realize why I made you remember and what was the need. For now, what you can maximum do is remember the 6 specified actionable claims. See, lottery, betting, gambling, you will be able to remember together. Lottery, betting and gambling. Online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Lottery, betting, gambling. Write in the comment section once with me, everyone. What are the 6 specified actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. 6 types of specified actionable claims. Chalo, I am waiting. Everyone has to write. No other option because it is mandatory for you to remember. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. These are 6 specified actionable claims which will be treated separately that we are going to see in the chapter of supply. Chalo. Yes, ma'am. So here we finish off goods. Goods and all the associated terms with the definition of goods. So we saw what are goods. We saw money, security, actionable claim, specified actionable claim, everything that is goods or related to goods we have completed. Now we come to services. Why? Because ultimately it is GST, a tax that is levied on goods and services. We understood goods. Now we are left with services. So if something falls under the purview of goods or services, only then GST can be levied on it. So let's come to the definition of services. Again, the same format we are going to follow. Services means other than but includes. Services means other than but includes. Such a simple definition. Services means anything. Wow, wow, wow. Services means anything other than goods, money or security. See, if something falls under the definition of goods, you go and consider them as goods. Money and security, they were excluded from goods also and they are excluded from the definition of security also. So now we are very much clear that money as well as security are neither goods nor services and therefore no GST. So today if I sell a bond, if I sell a share, a stock, no GST will be levied on it. So services means anything. Services means anything except goods, money and security. So if something particularly falls in the definition of goods, go and consider them as goods. Money and security are neither goods nor services. Except for this, whatever is left, everything will be considered as service only. The but includes part here says that, see, we are saying money and security are not goods or services, but the use of money, the activity of facilitating the transactions in securities, that is services. Let's say today, selling a share would not attract GST, but I don't sell it myself. I have to use some kind of an intermediary, a broker, which helps me sell the shares. Now that intermediary, that broker would be charging some kind of commission, agency charges. Will GST be levied on that? The answer is yes. So we are saying that securities are neither goods nor services, but the services of facilitating transactions in securities, that is yes, considered as a service. Then I would say money in itself is not a service, but use of money. Use of money. Let's say I am converting money from one form currency denomination, FCD, form currency denomination. I am converting my money from one form currency denomination to another form currency denomination for which a consideration is charged. Then that is a service. Let's take example. I have a 500 rupee denomination note. I have a 500 rupee denomination note. I give you that note. You give me 100 rupees 5 notes. Is it a service? The answer is no. We have changed the denomination. From 500 rupee denomination, I got 100 rupee denomination notes. But did you charge any consideration for it? No. This is not a service. But I give you 500 rupee note. I give you 500 rupee note, you give me 100 rupee 4 note and you give me a 50 rupee note. You say 50 rupees is my fees. 50 rupees is my fees because I am changing denomination for you. Here I would say that from one form currency or denomination, I have changed money into another form currency or denomination and I have also charged consideration for it. Then yes, I would say that a service worth 50 rupees is given. Is this point clear to all of us? Money and security are neither goods nor services. But understand, any activity relating to use of money, or conversation by cash by any other mode from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination, most importantly, for which you are charging consideration. If no consideration charged, then again it is purely dealing in money. But by changing from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination, if a consideration is charged, then that would be treated as a supply of service. Same goes to security. Security in itself is not a service, but facilitating transaction in security, yes, that will be considered as a service. So to revise up everything, to sum up everything, I would say service means anything other than goods, money, security, but includes use of money or conversion from one form currency denomination to another form currency denomination for which you are charging a separate consideration. Quickly tell me, are we all in a position to write the definition of goods or services today? Say yes or no. So here we finish up the meaning of the subject. The subject that we are studying is GST. Basically, we are studying indirect taxes. Indirect taxes, in it we are studying GST. So first we understood what is tax. Then we understood what is the meaning of indirect tax. We saw what is goods, what is services. So every single term that is used in the name of the subject, is it clear to us? Yes, ma'am. Now let's understand the meaning of related person. Why do we need to understand this now, ma'am? Because in value of supply, in supply chapter, at various places, some kind of different treatment is done with these related person. See, understand this is tax. So obviously you will always be wanting to escape, evade taxes. What is the best way to do so? Make some kind of a cartel with your relatives, sell goods or services at some lower rates, do some kind of mischief and save on taxes. So government already knows this. Therefore, government at various places has given separate provisions only for these kind of related person. But before that, we need to understand that whom do we actually call related person. So to make it very simple for you, I've made this mnemonic, sofa copes. Anyone outside sofa copes will never be your related person, no matter how much lucrative the question is. Only and only person which are covered in sofa copes will be treated as your related person. Let's see one by one what is sofa copes. Sofa copes. These are related person under GST. So means sole agent or sole distributor. The word important here is not agent. The word important here is sole. See, let's say I have a factory and I manufacture spectacles. Okay, I have a factory and I manufacture spectacles. Chashme banate hain hum. Now, I have a single agent, a single distributor. All the specs that I make, I supply through this person only. Now, this person will then later on find various sellers, distributors, retailers in the market and make me and help me sell my chashma, sell my specs. So here I would say that this person is my sole agent, sole, one and only agent, one and only distributor. He would be considered as my related person. But let's say I make spectacles and at various places, various cities, I have appointed multiple agents through which I sell the specs. Then will all of these agents be considered as my related person? The answer is no. So it is not like any agent or any distributor is my related person. No. Only and only my sole agent, the one and only sole agent, sole distributor will be considered as related person. Then what do we mean by the term fa? Fa is family. Obviously, family people would be related person, but the family in GST is very much restricted. Like in income tax, we consider even uncle, aunt, maternal uncle, paternal uncle, everyone, mama, chacha, pupa, everyone are considered as family. But in GST, the scope of family is very narrow. GST says your spouse means your husband or wife and your children. Your spouse and your children will always be your related person without a second thought. If my spouse is independent, he is earning on his own, everything, then also just because he is my spouse, he will be considered as my related person. So spouse and children, without a second thought, spouse and children will always be your related person. But parents, grandparents, brother and sister, parents, grandparents, brother and sister will be considered as your family only if they are dependent on you. Only if they are dependent. Dependency can be fully dependent also, can be partially dependent also. If at all they are dependent on you, only then your parents, grandparents, brother and sister will be considered as your related person. Chalo, I'll be asking you 2-3 questions. Quickly tell me whether this will he or she will be family or not. Question number 1. My grandmother. My grandmother who is completely independent. She has her pension coming. She is completely independent, not taking any money from me. Will she be my related person? Say yes or no. Second, let's say my husband who is also independent, earning on his own. Will he be my related person? Yes or no. Third, my cousin brother. Let's say my first cousin I'm talking about. So my uncle's son, my first cousin brother, my real uncle's son, he stays with us only. I take all his expenses and everything. So he is completely dependent on us. Will he be my related person? Yes or no? Tell me. Chal. Case number 1. Grandmother. Spouse and children always related person. But parents, grandparents, brother and sister only and only related if they are dependent. So your grandparent who is independent, which simply means no, this is not related person. Right. Next, my husband is independent. Now spouse and children, no requirement to see whether dependent or not. Spouse and children will always be related person only. So here I will say yes. Husband, even if he would have been dependent or independent all the time, he would be considered my related person. Here grandmother independent, therefore not related. But had they given in the question that grandmother is dependent, then I would have said yes, she is my related person. Last point, my cousin brother who is dependent on me. Again the answer is no. We only consider real parents, real grandparents, real brother and real sister here. So even if my cousin brother, or let's say my aunt, my uncle, my masi, bhua, whatever you call them, even if they are completely dependent on me, then also I will never consider them as related person. Only and only. See, here dependent, independent is a secondary question. First of all, is my cousin brother, spouse, children, parents, grandparents, brother, sister? No, not falling under the basic criteria only. Then why to even check whether dependent or independent? So here I will say that no, my cousin brother is not my related person. Chalo, majorly I can see only one student has made some mistake. Other than that, everyone has given correct answer. So is this now clear to all of us? Tell me. Is this clear to all of us? Yes, ma'am. Coming back to the definition of related person. So means sole agent, sole distributor. Fa means family. Family is very simple. Spouse and children always related. Parents, grandparents, brother, sister related only if they are dependent. C means control. Also, you can just draw a triangle here, which means if entity A is controlling entity B, they are related. entity A controlling entity C, they are also related. But if a common person is controlling B as well as C, which means here we will say that B and C will also automatically be considered as related person. So you can simply draw a triangle that direct control is covered. But let's say A holds 90% shares of B, which means it is under control of A, and A has the power to appoint all the directors of C, appoint all directors of company C, which means automatically here also we can say if I have the power to appoint all BOD, means I am basically controlling entity C. They are related, direct control, but here B and C will also become related person because there is a common person controlling both of them. So you can simply draw a diagram here beside wherever control is written. O is very much simple, officer or director in one another's business. Officer, director in one another's business. P is legally recognized partners. Legally recognized partners. So if there is a firm ABC, we are considering of partner ABC, the partner ABC will also be considered as related persons. E is again simple, employer-employee relationship. So my employee is my related person. So employer-employee relationship is also considered as related person. And last S is shares. Shares greater than or equal to 25%. Again the triangle applies here also. So let's say A is holding 30% shares in B. A is holding 60% shares in C. Then AB, AC are related, yes, because more than or equal to 25% shares. But B and C will also automatically be considered as related person. So see here, shares, when I say shares more than or equal to 25%, this will also include third person holding in both of them. Also include third person holding in both of them. So the triangle that we understand in control will also be applicable here when we study shares. So once again, everyone with me, definition of related person. Definition of related person, SOFA, COPS. So means sole agent, sole distributor. FA means family. Chalo, with me, try to recall and write in the comment section. Even if you write DIST distributor, I will understand. Just write. Just write. Sole agent, sole distributor. FA means family. FA means family. Family would include spouse and children always. Parents, grandparents, brother and sister only if they are dependent. C means control. Control also includes this triangle. So one person having control in two, these two will also become related. O means officer or director in one another's business. P means legally recognized partners. E means employer, employee. Employer, employee. And S is holding shares greater than or equal to 25%. Again, this triangle will be covered here also. Chalo, waiting for all of you to write answers here. Yash is saying, ma'am, I'm attending the lecture from Riverfront. You'll make me emotional. Riverfront is a place in Ahmedabad. That is my escape place, that whenever I feel like I want to think something, I'm not feeling good, I would just go to Riverfront, sit there for some time, look at the water, and I would instantly feel nice. But now, 20 days back, I got engaged, I got roka-fied. So now, after my wedding, I will be shifting to Maharashtra. So the only place that I think about every day I'll be missing is Riverfront. So I had literally thought of that before my 1 to 3 days before my marriage. I will genuinely go and sit at Riverfront for 1 or 2 hours, be with that place. So yeah, you attending lecture from Riverfront, you're making me emotional. Chalo, that place has my heart. Done. Okay, chalo. Covered. Associate enterprise. What is the meaning of associate enterprise? Nothing. The same meaning that you understand in direct tax and income tax. So you study transfer pricing in income tax section 92A. Whatever is the meaning of associate enterprise there is the same meaning of associate enterprise here. No requirement to remember this. The question will give you some kind of a hint that these are associate enterprises. Then we talk about what is a business. What is a business? it is a very wide term. See, GST is essentially a commercial tax. We want to levy GST on people doing business, doing commerce. Therefore, it is very much important to understand the meaning of business. Now, even if, let's say I sell shoes, and throughout the year, I was only able to sell 10 pair of shoes. I'm not at all frequent. My volume is very low. I keep my shop open for 3 days, then I shut it down for 10 days. There's no continuity, there's no regularity. Still, will this be considered as a business? The answer is yes. What is important here is the intent. What is important here is the intent of selling the shoes. I might not be regular. I might not maintain continuity. I might not be having that much frequency. It is all irrelevant. Frequency, volume. The question would say that I sold only 1 pair of shoes. Is it a business? The answer is yes. Unless it is my personal shoe that after use I am selling, that is a separate thing. That is not a business. But if the intent is business, then frequency, volume, continuity, regularity, nothing is important. It will always be considered as business only. Now, business is a very broad term. So, it would include trade, commerce, manufacturing, vocation, service, everything is a business only. So, any trade, commerce, manufacturing, profession, teaching. Teaching here again is a business. If I am engaged into manufacturing of something, it is also business. If I am trading something, it is also business. So, and plus any activity which is of the same nature or which is ancillary to it will also be considered as business only. Let's say I have a factory and I manufacture cookers. While manufacturing cookers, there is some scrap generated. Now I sell that scrap. My business is not to sell scrap. My business is to manufacture and sell cookers. But because I manufacture cookers, there is some scrap generated. It is ancillary. Then okay, even selling that scrap would also be a part of my business only, will also be considered as my business only. Let's say my business is to trade in clothes. But to keep the clothes, I would be requiring some kind of a furniture. So I, let's say, purchased wooden racks so that here I can keep my clothes, and whenever customer comes, I can just take out the clothes from furniture and show. So my business is not to purchase or sell furniture. My business is to purchase and sell clothes. But the furniture, the capital goods, I have acquired or I have supplied the capital goods because it is in relation to my business. I was starting the business, so I purchased the furniture. Today I am shutting down my business, I am selling this furniture. My business is not to deal in furniture, but the furniture is related to my business, and therefore this purchase sale of capital goods will also be considered as business only. Is this point clear to us? Tell me. They are saying that a lot of times students ask me this question. In various questions, you will find this thing, that my business is, let's say, to sell clothes, but I have purchased a car, I have purchased a rack, I have purchased furniture, table, AC. Then students would ask, ma'am, why would this be considered as business? My business is not to purchase or sell table. Arey Baba, but whatever you are doing is in connection to your business, ancillary to business, in relation to your business, and therefore that purchase sale of table will also be considered as your business only. Right, ma'am. Then if, let's say, I run a club, then I charge membership fees from my club members, that is also business. Admission. Let's say I am running a zoo or a theater, where for you just to enter the theater or enter the zoo, you would be required to take a ticket. I am selling the ticket just so that you can get admission. Now you said, ma'am, we want to take a tour of your studio. We want to see how your studio looks from where you are recording the lectures. I said, okay, I will charge 100 rupees per student. You can come take a visit of my tour. Then charging that 100 rupees just to give you admission will also be considered as business. If I am on some post, I am holding some office and I am taking some remuneration just to be on that post. Let's say of a club, I am some secretary, I am a director, I am on some post, and to be on that post, I charge remuneration. That is also business. Running a horse race club is also business, and also government doing various activity as public authorities is also considered as business. So business is a very broad term which includes manufacturing, trade, commerce, vocation, profession, and all the things related to it. Everything is business only. Right. Okay. Come to this diagram where I say a supplier would supply goods or services to a recipient. the recipient in return would pay some kind of a consideration. This is how an entire transaction works, right? A supplier would supply goods or services to a recipient. The recipient in return would be paying consideration. This is how a normal mechanism of any transaction works. Out of these terms, we understood what is supply. We understood what is goods. We understood what is services. Now is the time to understand who is a supplier and who is a recipient. The definition of supplier is very, very simple. The definition of supplier is very, very simple. Simply saying the person who is supplying the goods or services will be considered as supplier. Also, if I appoint an agent, I am acting as an agent on behalf of someone and supplying. I will also be considered as supplier only. So the definition of supplier is so simple, simply saying that supplier in relation to any goods or services or both shall mean the person supplying the goods. The person supplying the goods or services will be known as supplier, and shall also include any agent acting on behalf of the principal. But this amended part, earlier the definition was only this 3-line definition, but now they have added this point. What do we understand by this? They are saying, if at all there is any electronic or digital platform facilitating transactions in specified actionable claims. Let's say you are playing Rummy online. You are playing Rummy online. Rummy is an online money gaming, yes. So the person who is organizing or arranging this online Rummy for you, he might be owning that platform, he might be operating that platform, or he simply just might be managing that platform. That is a separate thing. But the platform, the digital platform, the digital or the electronic platform through which directly or indirectly you are engaged in these kinds of specified actionable claims. We have already seen what are specified actionable claims. To play these games or to take a part in these actionable claims, you are required to give money or something which is of money's worth or virtual digital assets. What are virtual digital assets? The same thing that you study in income tax. You have a full chapter VDA in income tax, bitcoins, etc. that we understand as virtual digital assets. So you might be putting money or something which is of money's worth or virtual digital assets just to enter these kinds of specified actionable claims. Then we say that this person who is owning, operating or managing the platform, who is taking this money's worth or VDA from you, will only be considered as the supplier of these specified actionable claims. What I am saying is, see, no need to remember definition of business or supplier or recipient. The only need to remember is the definition of goods or services. If you are clear with the definition of goods, services, related person and distinct person, that is all. Rest all definitions are for your understanding. Just understand. Wherever there will be need to remember, I will make you remember. There was a need to remember definition of related person, I made you write. There was a need to remember definition of goods, services, I made you write. So leave that on me. Whatever I make you remember, only that is important for you to word typically remember. Other things you can just understand and let go. It will help you write the answers and attempt the MCQs. Okay, ma'am. So here we say that a person who is organizing or arranging directly or indirectly any specified actionable claim, including a person who owns, operates or manages any digital or electronic platform for such supply, will only be deemed supplier of such specified actionable claims. Now that actionable claims, the consideration that he is getting can be money, can be money's worth, or can be virtual digital asset, can be paid or paid by the recipient himself or through some another person on behalf of recipient. That is all okay. This person would now be considered as a supplier of that specified actionable claim, is what the definition is trying to clear. And all the provisions that are normally applicable to any supplier would also become applicable on the supplier of these specified actionable claims. So we say that all the provisions of this act shall apply to such supplier of specified actionable claim as they normally apply to any other supplier. Say yes or no. Are we clear? Are we 100% clear with the definition of supplier? See, the definition of supplier only says the person supplying goods or services plus the agent will be considered as supplier. The amendment portion is typically saying that if a person is owning, operating, managing directly, indirectly any platform through which we are dealing in specified actionable claim, receiving money's worth or VDA in exchange as consideration, that person will be considered as supplier, and that person, all provisions of this act will be applicable on that person as they are applicable on a normal supplier of goods or services. Yes, ma'am. Now we understand the meaning of recipient. Okay. Recipient. Who will be a recipient? See, if there is any consideration payable, against the goods services that I have received, then the person liable to pay the consideration. Is considered as recipient. But let's say like some YouTube revision videos which I am providing, I am supplying services, I am not charging anything from you. No consideration is charged. You can simply attend the revision videos. Now in that case, whoever is the person enjoying those goods or services, means the goods to whoever we have delivered the goods, services to whoever we have rendered the services. In Hindi I call jo maje le raha hai. Whoever is enjoying these good services will automatically be considered as recipient because consideration is not payable. Also, just like an agent is included in the definition of supplier, simply an agent acting on behalf of recipient will also be considered as a recipient according to definition. So, very simple definition of recipient says that if consideration is payable, the person liable to pay the consideration. If consideration not payable, then to whoever we are delivering goods or services. And the definition would also include an agent acting on behalf of recipient. Chalo, I'll ask you one question. Let's say I and Shiva went to Chroma store. So I wanted to purchase a laptop and therefore I visited a Chroma store. I met Shiva there. Shiva came to me saying, "Hi ma'am, I am your Power Batch student. What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm here to purchase a laptop." Shiva said, "Let me join you." I said, "Come." I purchased the laptop, let's say worth 63,000. I went to the billing counter and I remembered shit. I forgot my phone, I forgot my wallet, I forgot my card, everything. I've purchased the laptop. That is for my business purpose. I forgot to bring 63,000 along with me. Shiva said, "What ma'am? No problem. I will pay. We'll adjust it later on." I said, "Okay." And Shiva paid the consideration to Chroma on behalf of me. Answer me these questions. What is the goods or service here? Who is the supplier? Who is the recipient? Answer 3 questions for me. What is goods or services here? Who is the supplier? And who is the recipient here? So Riddhi went to Chroma. Riddhi purchased the laptop for her business purpose just because she forgot to bring money. Shiva paid on behalf of her. Tell me. Yes, ma'am. Laptop is the goods here. So we are saying that laptop is being supplied. Laptop being a movable property becomes goods. There is a sale of laptop, means there is a supply of laptop. Therefore, yes, GST should be levied. Chroma is the supplier, no doubt about it, because Chroma is supplying the laptop. The only doubt here is who is the recipient, Riddhi or Shiva? Yes, I will be the recipient, not Shiva. Shiva has just paid the money on behalf of me. I was constantly highlighting the word liable. The person liable to pay the consideration is Riddhi only. I have purchased the laptop for my business purpose. I was the person liable to pay the amount just because I told Shiva to pay it on my behalf. Doesn't mean Shiva here becomes the recipient. I am the ultimate person going to enjoy these goods and I should be the one paying the consideration, and I am the only person liable to pay consideration, and therefore if at all you are thinking that Shiva is the recipient, you are wrong. But what I can see here is majorly, except for 2-3 students, everyone has said that Shiva is not recipient and Riddhi is the recipient here, because the word Liable, I was constantly highlighting that whenever consideration is payable, the person liable to pay the consideration is going to be the recipient. So one or two students who have not given correct answer, I hope it is now clear to you. So throughout the course of GST, anywhere, if at all we make a reference that supply is made to a person, we automatically mean that supply is made to recipient. So we say any reference made to a person that we have made supply, you construe it as if that supply is made to recipient only, because the person making supply is supplier. Then the person receiving the supply is known as recipient. Now going back to the diagram, supplier supplied goods or services to recipient, and the recipient is paying consideration in exchange. We have understood supplier, supply, goods, service and recipient. The only term that we are left with is consideration, and then we understand the full cycle of a transaction under GST. What do we understand by the term consideration? Very simple. Whatever the recipient, or see here in the above example, Shiva paid money on my behalf. He was not recipient. I was recipient. I made him pay the money, which means it is not always important that the recipient should only pay the consideration. It is okay. Recipient can tell someone also to pay the consideration on his behalf. So in the above example, even if Shiva paid that 63,000, still the 63,000 will be considered as consideration only. There is no requirement of always recipient paying the amount. Recipient himself to normally pays only. He or she can also tell someone to pay the consideration on his or her behalf. So here, even though in the above example, Shiva paid 63,000, still that 63,000 amount would be considered as consideration. Right. So what is consideration? Whatever payment you are doing in money terms, and not just money. It can be otherwise also. Let's say in exchange of laptop, I gave my old mobile phone plus some amount. So that old mobile phone also would be considered as consideration. So it is not always mandatory that the payment, the consideration has to be in money. It can be in otherwise terms also. It can also be a monetary value of something for doing or not doing something. Let's say I told you, after the batch completed, exams happened, you cleared chartered accountancy and you were like so much confident with GST. You're like, ma'am, we had so much fun studying GST. Now so I am starting teaching and I will teach GST only. I said, hey, what are you doing? Okay. I said, keep 10 lakh. Keep 10 lakh rupees and promise me that you are not going to teach GST. I am forbearing you to do something. I am restraining you to teach GST. And I am paying some kind of a monetary value for you to not do something or to do something. Is that also consideration? Yes. This 10 lakh will also be considered as consideration. So it can be money. It can be otherwise than money. It can be monetary value of doing something or not doing something. Whatever amount paid by recipient or on behalf of recipient by some other person, it is all considered as consideration under GST. But always remember that any subsidy that you receive from central government or state government, local authority is not covered here. So subsidy received from local authority is a consideration. Particularly, only and only any incentive, any subsidy that you are receiving from central government or state government will never be considered as consideration. When we study section 15.2 under value of supply, I will bring you back here to make this thing more clear. For people, because this is power batch, I am assuming you are not studying for the first time. So you would be knowing that there we see price linked non-government subsidy. If you remember section 15.2, if you don't remember, no problem. We are anyways going to study. But if you remember section 15.2, we make this inclusion in the value of supply that we include only and only non-government price linked subsidy. Why? Because central government and state government subsidies are not consideration. Now something that is not consideration cannot be considered to be my value of supply. So you particularly have to remember that central government and state government subsidies are not consideration and we do not charge GST on the same. Right. Now tell me, what is the difference between deposit and advance? Anyone? If I tell that I am going to stay in a PG. My monthly rent for that PG is, let's say, 10,000. I say I have given 3-month deposit. I have given 30,000 deposit, point number 1, and I have given 30,000 advance. Can any one of you give me difference of deposit and advance? Chalo. Why have you not liked the session yet? There are more people viewing the session compared to the number of likes. Chalo, 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 quickly subscribe the channel if you haven't already and like the video. Chalo. Without even saying you have to do that. Anyone? Difference between deposit and advance? Ma'am, deposit is refundable and advance is ultimately adjusted against the supply. Very good, Janani. If I'm pronouncing it right. Janani. Sorry. Okay. So, deposit or advance. See, if I say that I am giving a 3-month deposit of 30,000, which means even again in the next month, I will have to give 10,000. This deposit will stay with the owner. Whenever I am leaving this property, he would refund me the deposit back. Or let's say I am defaulting on payment of some monthly rent, or I have damaged some property of that, I've damaged some property there, then my deposit would be used, would be applied to repair those things, or would be applied to recover money from me if I am defaulting at all. Means deposit is actually no payment, no consideration. I give deposit with an expectation to get it back. Whereas if I say that I have given 30,000 advance, which means for next 3 months, I will not be required to pay the rent because I have paid it in advance. So understand, advance is ultimately adjusted. Advance is ultimately adjusted against the supply that is being made. Deposit is not adjusted. So today if I give a 30,000 deposit, should it be considered as consideration? The answer is no. But let's say 5 months later, I defaulted on payment of some monthly rent, and out of this 30,000, 10,000 was applied. 10,000 was used out of this deposit to recover that rent from me. Then will it be considered as consideration? The answer is yes. So here we say that deposit has to be considered as consideration, as payment only when it is applied for consideration. Otherwise, normally merely giving of deposit is not a consideration. And please do not mess up between deposit and advance. They are two separate terms having two separate meanings. Advance is just a payment for supply that you are giving before supply, not after supply. But deposit is not a consideration. Even if you give deposit, you will have to pay the additional consideration. Deposit is just for the purpose of security. And therefore, until and unless that deposit is actually applied for the supply, you cannot consider it as a payment. You cannot consider it as consideration. Then say yes or no, everyone. Yes, ma'am. So a supplier would be supplying goods or services to a recipient, and the recipient in exchange would be paying some consideration. This is how an entire transaction of GST works. And here we have understood every single term that I used in this sentence to explain the transaction. Now there are 3-4 additional terms that you need to know that we will require in supply, registration, value, other chapters. So we'll just quickly go through them. First is distinct person. Whenever I say distinct person, you have to shout out loud, same PAN, separate registration. The only checkpoint, the only definition for distinct person is same PAN, separate registration. You need to check that whether these two registrations are under same PAN. Yes. Are they separately registered? Yes. They are distinct person. Now it is irrelevant whether they are in same state, whether they are in different state. Everything is irrelevant. If at all there is same PAN, separate registration. If at all there is same PAN, separate registration, we consider them as distinct person. So look quickly, I am asking you two questions. Here. Let's say I have a shop in Ahmedabad and I have a shop in Surat. Now Ahmedabad as well as Surat, both are in Gujarat only. Ahmedabad as well as Surat, both are in Gujarat. I have not taken separate registration for them because they are in the same state, so I can run under a common registration only. Both of them are my shop only. Will they be considered as distinct persons? Say yes or no if I transfer some stock from here to here. Question number 2. One shop in Ahmedabad and another shop in Pune. Now Ahmedabad is in Gujarat and Pune is in Maharashtra. Will they be considered as my distinct persons? Say yes or no. Whenever I say distinct person, you immediately have to shout out loud, same PAN, separate registration. Distinct person means same PAN, separate registration. So question number 1. The Ahmedabad branch and the Surat branch are under same PAN. I am the owner. But are they separately registered? The answer is no, because they are running under a single Gujarat registration. Therefore, they are not distinct person. Whereas Ahmedabad and Pune, because they both are in separate state, which automatically means separate registration, and therefore, yes, they are distinct person. Let's say point number 3. I am transferring some stock from Mumbai to Pune. Again, Mumbai as well as Pune, both are in Maharashtra. But I have taken voluntary separate registration. I sell clothes in Mumbai, I sell shoes in Pune. Now I was not wanting to mix the accounts, to mix the returns and everything. Therefore, I took voluntarily separate registration in single state only. I am separately registered in Mumbai, I am separately registered in Pune. Now distinct person, say yes or no. Now distinct person, say yes or no. Very good. Yes, ma'am. The only criteria here is same PAN and separate registration. We are least concerned whether this separate registration is in same state or in different state. It is all okay. Until and unless it is same PAN separate registration, it will always be considered as distinct person only. Therefore, in point number 3 for Mumbai and Pune, even though both of them are in Maharashtra, still because they are voluntarily separately registered, I am the owner, same PAN, separate registration, it will be considered as distinct person. Now, let's say the question only says, I have transferred stock from Udaipur to Jaipur. Udaipur and Jaipur both are in Rajasthan. Question has not mentioned whether they are separately registered or not. What you are going to assume? There are three questions in the question bank where ICAI has not made it clear whether they are separately registered or not. But they have given 2 cities of a same state only. Our by default assumption would be they are not separately registered. If you want to write this, please mention this, that if question is silent and both the cities are in same state, then our by default assumption, why would a person unnecessarily increase compliance if he can run under single registration in a single state? Why in any state he would be wanting 2 registrations? So it is very much logical to assume that if 2 cities of a same state are given and there is no mention about separate registration, we will always assume, our by default assumption is going to be that they are running under a single registration only. Okay, right. If you want to write this assumption, you can just mention it here. The examples that we discussed, I've already mentioned here. Now, establishment of distinct person. See, distinct person is with respect to registration. The GST registration, same PAN, separate registration. Establishment is with respect to the place, the establishment. So, if I have one registered establishment, there is one registered establishment on one leg, then on the opposite leg, my other establishment could be registered, could not be registered, it is all fine. Let's say I have a restaurant. I have a restaurant in Ahmedabad. I have a restaurant in Ahmedabad which is registered under GST. I have a liquor shop in Goa. Now, we understood that alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not covered under the scope of GST. So, to run a liquor shop, I am not requiring registration because no need to collect taxes. So, I am registered in Ahmedabad. I am unregistered in Goa. My one establishment is registered, my one establishment is not registered. Tell me, are they distinct person? No, because there is same PAN, but there is no separate registration. We have registration only here. We don't have registration here. So they are not distinct person. But still, will they be considered as establishment of distinct persons? The answer is yes. Because here what is important is the establishment, the place, and not the registration. So there has to be registration on one leg. On the opposite leg, if I am the only owner and that opposite establishment, whether it is registered or not registered, no problem, it will still always be considered as establishment of distinct person only. The same restaurant and liquor shop example also I have mentioned in the notes. Okay. Export of goods and export of services. We will see when we go to the particular chapter. Okay, let's cover here only. Chalo. Export of goods. Export of goods simply means taking goods. See, what do we understand by the term export? To send something out of India is export. To send something from India to a place outside India is export. So simply goods is something that is tangible, movable. You can see goods. I can see goods. So I can see the goods going outside India to a place going out of India to a place outside India. So as soon as the goods cross the Indian territory, I would say export of goods has happened, goods has gone outside India. So taking goods out of India to a place outside India is simply considered as export of goods. But talking about export of services, services is something that you cannot see, you can only feel. I cannot see services, I can only feel services. So I cannot see services physically, tangibly going out of India. Therefore, there are 5 conditions that I need to fulfill for a transaction to qualify as export of service. First is the location of supplier has to be in India. Obviously, Indian person giving service to a person outside India would be considered as export. So the supplier is in India. The location of recipient is outside India. Supplier is in India. Supplier is in India. Yes, Pulkit, because in that case, if you have establishment, okay, Pulkit is saying, ma'am, I have go down in 2 different states. Will it be considered as distinct person? See, understand. If I have a go down in Ahmedabad, I have my head office in Mumbai, and I have another go down in, let's say, Kolhapur, Maharashtra. Then in that case, go down is a place of business. Go down, warehouse, branch, agency, office, shop, everything is a fixed place of business. And according to registration chapter, section 25, wherever you are having fixed place of business, you are required to take registration. So here you will be registered in Mumbai, in Ahmedabad, means Maharashtra. Okay, both of these I have taken Maharashtra. Let's say Indore. Indore is in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat as well as Maharashtra. All 3 states, I will be requiring registration because go down is a place of business. And wherever you have place of business, if you become liable, you have to take registration at all the places. So automatically, they become distinct person. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, coming back to export of service. So the supplier is in India. Recipient is outside India. The place of supply is also outside India. First 3 basic conditions, very clear. When will I consider something to be export? If an Indian person is providing services to outside India. So location of supplier in India. Location of recipient outside India. Place of supply outside India. Then 4th point is consideration. See, for goods, I can see the goods physically going out of India. So I can consider it as export. Now services, let's say today, I say I have provided some kind of consultancy to a person in UK. What is the proof? I can say I provided consultancy. How can you check whether consultancy is provided or not? The only way to check is if I have provided consultancy, the opposite person should be giving me consideration. So here the condition is that you should be receiving convertible forex. If you have given services to someone outside India, you should be receiving convertible forex. At some places, RBI permits INR. That is a separate thing. If at some places RBI particularly permits you bringing INR, that is a separate thing. Otherwise than that, if you are providing export of services, we want you to bring convertible forex into India. And last point is, you are not mere establishment of distinct person. My own branch only there in some another country. Just because I want to get export benefits, I will say that I have given export services to my own mere establishment of distinct person. That is also not accepted here. We will discuss this point more detail in the chapter of export under GST. This point will be elaborated in export under GST. So you can just wait till then. But for now, what are the 5 conditions you need to fulfill to qualify your transaction as export of services? Supplier in India. Location of recipient outside India. Place of supply outside India. Payment has to be received in convertible forex. At some places INR permitted. And supplier and recipient are not mere establishment of distinct person. Now the amendment here is, see, normally you have to receive convertible forex. But in AFM or SFM that you would have studied something like Vostro account. Do you remember? Anyone? What is this Vostro account? I cannot go into much details now because you have as such anyway studied in an AFM, but still to give you a context, what is Vostro account? See, what happens is these Vostro accounts, let's say India, dealing with Russia. Okay, we wanted our trades to be done in US dollars. But let's say there is some war happened between India, US or Russia, US, and we are banning dollars. Now, we do not trust Russian rubles. We want to carry out trade with Russia, but we do not trust Russian rubles. And dollar is banned because of some kind of war going on. Now what to do? What happens is some authorized dealer banks, the correspondent banks, the Indian bank would open an account with the Russian bank. The Russian bank would open an account with the Indian bank, with these authorized dealers bank. These kind of accounts are known as Nostro-Vostro accounts. So here, the Vostro account, if I receive, now what happens is that person would be depositing Russian rubles here for any import that he has done. The Indian importer would be depositing INR here. And ultimately, the proceeds would get cancelled. The proceeds would get cancelled, and here the Indian person would be receiving the amount in INR only. The Indian person would be receiving the amount in INR. There, the ultimate importer has actually deposited Russian rubles only in the Nostro-Vostro account. But what you receive here, after all the adjustment is done between the banks, and you receive INR. So here government is saying that, okay, any proceed, any INR that you receive through Vostro account, that is acceptable. Otherwise, you anyways have to always receive the convertible forex currency only. So if export proceeds are paid in INR from the specified special rupee account of the Vostro account of the corresponding partner bank opened by the authorized dealer bank, that same shall be considered okay, that as if you have fulfilled the condition of point number 4. But you also have to see the provisions of foreign trade policy and any RBI circular affecting this thing. This is a general provision, but particularly if there's a point in FTP or RBI circular, then you need to respect it. Otherwise than that, receiving rupee from Vostro account is acceptable. Simply you have to remember one line, receiving INR from special rupee Vostro account is acceptable. Right, ma'am. What is online gaming? Simply playing games over internet or electronic medium is online gaming. Subway Surfers, Temple Run, Rummy or Dream 11 or whatever games you are playing. So means offering of a game on internet or electronic network is all online gaming. This would also include online money gaming. So online gaming can be with money, without money. Everything is online gaming. But particularly online money gaming is a separate term which is also included in online gaming. So online gaming is a superset and online money gaming is a subset of it. To particularly understand what is online money gaming, any kind of a game where the player would give money, money's worth or virtual digital asset. The player, let's say I am playing Dream 11. I will have to deposit something, money, money's worth or virtual digital asset. Why I am doing that? Because I am under an expectation. I am under an expectation that I will receive more money, money's worth or virtual digital asset than what I have deposited. That is the mechanism how online money gaming works. So online money gaming means the player would pay or deposit money, money's worth or virtual digital asset. Why? Because he is under the expectation of winning more money, money's worth or virtual digital asset in any event. Now, if you call it a game, a competition, a sport, an event, you say, ma'am, rummy is not simply luck. You need to have skill. It is not a game of chance. You need to have skill. Government says irrelevant. You call it a game, a scheme, a competition, an activity, process. Whether you say that the outcome is performance based or skill based or chance based, everything we will consider as online money gaming only. If you are depositing money, money's worth, virtual digital asset in expectation to win money, money's worth or virtual digital asset, then you call it as a performance game, a skill game, whether it is even permissible or not permissible by the law, or if you call it as a game, competition, event, scheme, activity, process, everything is considered as online money gaming only. Ma'am, is there a need to remember the definition? No. Is there a need to understand the definition? Yes. Have we understood? You tell me. Have we understood? Yes or no? Chalo. So here we wind up 14 pages of the notes. Is everyone with me? We'll take a small 15-20 minutes break. Then we will continue with the supply chapter. Quickly give me answers of the 3 questions. समझ आ रहा है, मजा आ रहा है, याद हो रहा है क्या? Are you remembering? Are you understanding? And are you enjoying the classes? Are you feeling confident? Quickly drop some fire, heart, bomb emojis in the comment section. Dil dil agag bomb bomb, lit up the comment section, and then we will go for break. Yes ma'am, going great. Chalo everyone. Lot of fire, smiley, heart emojis, fire emojis, and then we go on break. Understanding everything, we've understood GST in introduction, which is actually not applicable for exam, but some kind of background was required to pick up the pace. We understood all the important terms, whatever was important to remember, like related person, goods, services, distinct person, I made sure we've also remembered in the class. Other things we've understood. Done, ma'am? Yes. Chalo. So let's go on a small 15 minutes break, I would say. It is 9:05. We resume at 9:20. Resume the session at 9:20 and then we'll start with the chapter of supply. Chalo, are we all back, guys? Are we all back after the break, guys? Recharged, energized? आ जाओ. Yes, with me. Okay. So now let's start with the official first core chapter of the syllabus. Now, whenever I mention a section number, unless I say it is IGST, you always have to take it as CGST only. So if I only say section 7, you have to automatically understand that I am talking about section 7 of CGST Act. Only and only 7 or 8 section of IGST Act is what we are required to study throughout the syllabus. That I will particularly mention that this what we are studying is IGST Act. Otherwise, always if it is straight up only written section 7, section 8, section 50, section 60, it is always and always of CGST Act only. I will not repeat this again and again. You have to remember, and you do not have to ask it also again and again, that whenever if it is only written section 7, it is CGST Act only, because SGST anyways we are not required to study, and IGST. IGST only particular sections are applicable that I will mention explicitly. Yes, ma'am. Shall. So now we start with S for 7, S for supply. With me everyone, S for 7, S for supply, section 7 scope of supply. S for 7, S for supply, section 7 scope of supply. Because we have understood if there is no supply, GST cannot be levied. Supply is the one whole comprehensive taxable event under GST that we understand. If at all there is supply, only then GST can be levied. So it is very much important for us to understand what is a supply. So section 7. How to remember? S for 7, S for supply. S for 7, S for supply. With me everyone, section 7 scope of supply. Where section 7.1 talks about supply includes. What is included in the supply? 4 subsections we have to see: 7.1, 7.2, 7.3 and 7.1a. We start with section 7.1, which talks about supply includes. What is included in the scope of supply? We break this into 2 parts. Now full attention here. With consideration, without consideration. No need to write anything. Everything is given in notes. Just pay attention here. Listen to me very attentively. Okay. Section 7.1 supply includes. Now, it is nowhere written anywhere, but for our understanding, we say there's this golden rule which says no consideration, no supply. So generally, always, at all the places, if some transaction has to qualify as supply, there is a precondition that consideration has to be there. If there is consideration, only then we say there is a supply. Then why need of this point which says without consideration? Here section 7.1c says that there are 4 paras under schedule 1. There are 4 particulars, paras, activities specified under schedule 1, and only these 4 paras without consideration will be considered as supply. Para number 1, 2, 3 and 4 that we are going to study now. Only these 4 paragraphs, these 4 activities, these 4 transactions without consideration will be particularly treated as supply under schedule 1. Other than that, all transactions to qualify as supply, there is a prerequisite of consideration being there. Okay. So section 7.1a, which simply talks about all forms of supply. All forms of supply. Supply of what? Of goods, services, or both. Of course, because GST can be levied only and only on supply of goods or services. So all forms of supply of goods, services, or both. What can be forms of supply? Sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal. These are all forms of supply. So we simply say all forms of supply of goods, services, or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, made or agreed to be made by a person. What do we mean by the term person? Just an individual? No. Person means individual, firm, HUF, LLP, AOP, BOI, a partnership firm, or a trust, a cooperative society, everything is included in person. We've already seen. So we say all forms of supply. Supply of what? Goods, services, or both. What are the forms of supply? Sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, etc. That's etc. Which means there can be some other things related to this also. Made or agreed to be made by a person in course furtherance of business. If all of these conditions are satisfied, then we say according to section 7(1)(a), this will be considered as a supply under GST. Chalo, I ask you two questions. Question number 1. Riddhi, she is a faculty teaching IDT at CA final level. Sold shuffle or let's say power batch lectures to you for 7,000 rupees. Will this be considered as a supply? Say yes or no. Question number 2. Riddhi sold old jewelry for let's say 60,000 rupees because she was in need of money. Will this be considered as supply? Say yes or no. See, first of all, we have to check if there is consideration or not. That is a precondition. We are under the column of with consideration. For both the points, we are saying yes, there is consideration. We have sold something. We have sold something which means sale. Sale is a kind of supply? Yes. Lectures, whether they are good services? Yes. Jewelry, is it good services? Yes. So till now all conditions are being fulfilled. There is consideration, there is supply of good services? Yes. Made agreed to be made by a person? Yes. Is Riddhi individual a person? Yes. And last point, whether it is in course furtherance of business. Point number 1, I would say yes, it is in course furtherance of business. But point number 2, where I am selling my personal jewelry because I am in need of money, it is not my business, and therefore, irrespective of the fact that all other conditions are fulfilled, there is consideration, there is supply, there is good services, there is a person, but there is no business here. And therefore, point number 2 will not qualify as supply and no GST will be levied for transaction number 2. Tell me yes or no, everyone. Yes, ma'am. So 7(1)(a) simply says, section 7(1)(a) simply says that 99% of the transactions are covered here only, because normally in our course furtherance of business, we do supplies with goods and services. So all forms of supply of goods, services or both, all forms of supply include sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, everything. Made or agreed to be made by a person in course furtherance of business, it will be considered as supply. Then coming to section 7(1)(b), which talks about import of service. Only and only service, we are not considering goods here. Why? Because import and export of goods is dealt particularly according to Customs Act. We are studying GST. So import of goods, how to levy GST, what to do, it will all be dealt according to the Customs Act. So for now what we are studying is only and only import of service. Particularly, do remember this, not talking about import of goods. Precondition still being there, that import is with consideration. So whatever I am importing, I will pay consideration for the same. Now here we are saying that even if it's for business purpose or it is for personal purpose, under both situations, if there is import of service for consideration, it will always be treated as supply. The business condition is absent here. Section 7(1)(a) wants the transaction to be in course furtherance of business, but section 7(1)(b) simply says if there is import of service for consideration, it is always supply. It can be for business purpose, it can be for personal purpose also. So tell me one thing, if I say any transaction which qualifies as a supply, is it mandatory that GST will be levied on it? There is goods or services and there is a supply. Yes. Does this automatically imply that 100% GST will be levied? Say yes or no, everyone. Two questions I am asking. Chalo. Question number 1. If there is supply, does it automatically mean GST will be levied? Question number 2. If for any transaction GST is levied, does it automatically means that yes, there would be a supply? Say yes or no. And point number 2, very clear, yes. GST can only be levied if there is supply. So yes, we agree to this point that if GST is levied, it automatically means there has to be a supply of goods services, only then GST can be levied. But point number 1, no. It is not mandatory that if something qualifies as a supply, GST will be levied on it. The answer is no. Even if something qualifies as a supply, we are going to study a particular chapter under the name of exemptions. So it might be possible that importing services for personal purpose is a supply. But while studying exemption chapter, we would study that this particular supply is exempt under GST and therefore GST would not be levied on the same. So here do not confuse it. Do not confuse that whatever is falling under section 7.1, on everything GST will be levied. No. We are just understanding whether it is supply or not. How we go about the transaction. First of all, we see whether something is goods or service or not. If it is neither goods nor service, matter closed there only. If it is good or service, yes, then we check whether it is supply or not. Then we check whether it is not falling in some kind of a negative list or whether some exemption is given to it. No. If everything is okay, means it is goods or service, yes, there is a supply according to section 7. It is not otherwise exempt anywhere. Then point number 4 comes, which says, okay, now you levy GST on the same. So do not confuse it that ma'am, whenever we are importing services for personal purpose, it is normally exempt. Why you are telling this? It is a supply and that supply is exempt. That is a separate thing. For now, we are only studying what is a supply. Right. Then section 7.1AA says that if there is a person, not individual. If there is a person, not individual. Who are the person, not individuals? Firms, AOP, BOIs, clubs, association. If these people are doing some kind of activity or transaction with their own members or own constituents for which they are charging consideration. The consideration can be cash, deferred payment, anything. It will also be treated as supply. So today if I say that there's a club which charges membership fees from its members. There's a club charging membership fees from its members, then in that case we will say this is also a supply because the club is providing some kind of goods or some kind of supply against that membership fees, and an explanation particularly says that club is different from its members. A partnership firm is separate from its partners, which means if a firm is doing something with partners, a club and association is doing something with the members, charging consideration against it, then in that case, simply we are going to say that yes, it is also a supply under GST. Here we complete our with consideration column. So section 7.1 supply includes. Section 7.1 supply includes for consideration, without okay, let's do one thing. We'll come to notes only and clear this up. So section 7 scope of supply. 7.1 supply includes. Talking about for consideration means for this entire column, one thing you always have to keep in mind that there is consideration. Only then we are studying this further. So 7.1a, all forms of supply of goods, services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, everything made agreed to be made by a person in course furtherance of business. Then 7.1b, importation of services. You can just write goods and strike this off because that is in accordance with Customs Act. So importation of services, be it for business purpose, be it for personal purpose, if there is consideration, it is always supply. Then 7.1AA, any activity or transaction done by a person other than individual with its own members and constituents only for cash, deferred payment or any other valuable consideration, that will also be treated as supply. Why? Because this person and its constituents are treated as two separate people, and two separate people undertaking a transaction for consideration. It is normally always a supply only. Now coming to section 7.1c, which says there are particularly only 4 activities specified in 4 paras of schedule 1, which say that they will be treated as a supply even without consideration. So only 4 transactions, 4 activities specified under schedule 1 will be treated as supply without consideration also. Let's see one by one. First point is permanent transfer of business asset on which ITC is availed. You have to fulfill all of the three conditions. Permanent transfer, business asset, ITC availed. Permanent transfer or disposal of business asset on which ITC is availed. We will take some examples. So let's say there's this holding company transferring the business assets for nil consideration, free of cost to subsidiary company. See, is this transfer permanent? The answer is yes. Was ITC availed on these assets when the holding company purchased it? Yes. And are these assets that are being transferred business assets? The answer is yes, and therefore we consider it as a supply even if it is done without consideration. Right. Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. So coming back to schedule 1, 4 paras to be considered as supply without consideration. First is permanent transfer. So we come to now the without consideration part. Without consideration part. Para number 1, permanent transfer, business asset, ITC availed. Second is supply between related person, distinct person. Quickly tell me who are related person and who is our distinct person. In the comment section, everyone, who are our related person? Sofa, Copes. Who is distinct person? Same pan, separate registration. Why did I explain you all the terms beforehand starting the supply chapter, so that now if I say consideration, recipient, export, import, you're actually trying to, you can actually relate to the terms that I'm saying. So supply between related person or distinct person, if done for business purpose, is also considered as supply even without consideration. So let's say from my Ahmedabad factory, I transfer stock to the Mumbai shop. Even without consideration. Are Ahmedabad and Mumbai shop separately registered under same pan? Yes. Are they distinct person? Yes. Is this transfer in relation of business? Yes. Then it will also be considered as supply. There is one exception here. See, Sofa Copes. E means employer-employee. Under Sofa Copes, E means employer-employee relationship. Now here there is this exception that if an employer is gifting something to employee, if an employer is gifting something to employee and the consideration, the amount of that gift is up to 50,000 rupees, then in that case we do not consider it as supply. If the employer is gifting something to employee up to 50,000 rupees, it is not considered as supply. But let's say I gifted a mobile phone which is worth 65,000 rupees. Tell me, question number 1, will the supply be of worth 15,000 or will the supply be of worth 65,000? Is 50,000 a limit or a checkpoint that you need to check? If it is up to 50,000, it is not a supply. If it breaches 50,000, am I supposed to take only the excess portion or the full portion? While considering supply, the answer is full portion you have to take. So at any point of time, if at all with relation to a business purpose, there is a supply between related person or distinct person. For example, stock transfer between two branches, it will be considered as a supply. But particularly for employer-employee relationship up to 50,000, it is not considered as supply. If 50,000 is exceeded, then in that case we will take the entire amount to be the value of supply. Then point number 3, any transfer of goods. Now here particularly not talking about service. You can just write and strike off service, that if at all there is any goods transferred between principal agent, mean principal transferring goods to agent, agent transferring goods to principal, in that case it will be considered as supply even if it is without consideration. And last point is import of service. Now see, under section 7(1)(b), we have already seen that if import of services for consideration, then irrespective of the fact whether it is business purpose, personal purpose, it will always be treated as supply. But if the import of services without consideration, then you need to check that it has to be from related person or own establishment, and the plus it has to be in course furtherance of business. If both of these conditions are fulfilled, then we will say according to schedule 1 para 4, this import of service will also be treated as supply under GST. Quickly tell me everyone, yes or no. So, try to recall along with me section 7.1c. Then I will take examples. Section 7.1c schedule 1. Section 7.1c schedule 1 para 1. Permanent transfer, business asset, ITC availed. Para number 2. Related person, distinct person making supply if it is for business purpose. Para number 3. Principal making supply of goods to agent or agent making supply of goods to principal. Both ways covered, not service. And point number 4, we talk about import of service. Point number 4, import of service, but has to be from related person or own establishment, plus it has to be in course furtherance of business. If both the conditions are fulfilled, then we will say that it is a supply, even without consideration. So only and only these 4 activities can be considered as supply without consideration. Otherwise, then that always you have to apply the golden rule saying no consideration, no supply. Now we will take some examples so that we understand whether we are actually clear with this or not. But before that, what is a sale? We simply understand transferring the ownership, transferring the title is known as sale. So a shopkeeper selling a 20 rupees pen to the buyer, it is a sale. Now it is on buyer, whether the buyer wants to keep that pen, throw that pen, use it, give it to someone, the entire I would say property in the pen now lies with the buyer. This is a sale. But transfer, you just give possession. You said, ma'am, I want this pen. I said, okay, the pen is worth 10,000 rupees, but if you want it for 2-3 days, I can give you, you give me like 400-500 rupees, you can use it and give it back to me. Now in that case, I am simply giving you possession. I am not giving you the entire ownership of this pen. This is known as transfer. Barter, simply money is not being given. I give you wheat, you give me rice. Or let's say there is this doctor providing consultancy to a barber in return of the barber cutting the hair of the doctor. Now this is a barter where you exchange goods or services for goods or services. And we've already seen this, that consideration can be in otherwise than monetary terms also. So in that case, even receiving wheat or rice or haircut would be considered as supply and it is known as barter. Then what is exchange? Anyone? What is the difference between barter or exchange? What is the difference between barter exchange? Yes, Ramesh, basically here when we talk about import, the establishment is outside India. That is the only difference. The establishment is outside India. That's the only difference. Okay, difference between barter and exchange. There is no money whatsoever involved in barter. It is pure exchange of goods services for goods services. But in exchange, there might be money involved in at any one leg or at both the legs. So let's say I purchased a new car worth 10 lakh rupees in exchange of 7 lakh rupees and an old car. Now this is not a barter. Car for car is a barter. Or let's say car for any other goods service is a barter. But here at one leg there is goods services plus money also involved. Then I would call it as exchange and not as a barter. So but barter and exchange, both of them are considered as forms of supply only. What is a license? Any permission. So to get any permission to do something, you also have to pay some kind of a fees to get that permission. Even paying off that fees is consideration, and getting license is also a form of supply. So permission granted by competent authority to engage in any kind of activity, business, occupation, profession, it is all considered as license. So these are all the forms of supply: sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rent we understand, disposal we understand, right? Clarification with respect to import of services already seen. If for consideration, be it business purpose, be it not business purpose, it is always supply. But talking about without consideration, only and only if it is from related person, own establishment and in course of business, then it is supply. Otherwise, it is not a supply. Right? Yes. Chalo. Now, do one thing. Do not see. Maintain honesty. Close your books. Do not see the answers. I am asking you questions. You have to give me answer along with section number. Try giving answers along with section number. It is okay if you don't remember. At least try. 7.1a, all forms of supply. 7.1b, import of service. 7.1AA, that club wala point. And 7.1c, read with schedule 1. are the 4 paras without consideration. These are the subsection along with clauses that we've understood. Now I will be asking you some questions. You have to tell me whether it is supply or not. If it is a supply, then under what subsection? If you are at all able to recall the subsections clauses, give it. Otherwise it is fine. But give answer at least. Close your books, do not see the answers. Okay. So there is Babu Bhaiya. There is Babu Bhaiya who has received interior designing services for residential house from Japan. So Babu Bhaiya has received interior services from Japan for a consideration of 10,000 yen. Tell me whether it is supply or not. If it is supply, then under what subsection, what clause? Ma'am, first of all, interior designing services we are taking from Japan, which means it is import of service. Yes. Now you decide whether it is supply or not. You decide कि क्या करना है. तुझको तो जरा सा भी डरना है. What is this, ma'am? Ignore. Chalo. Yes, ma'am. Under section 7(1)(b, it is a supply because import of service for consideration. Now, even if Babu Bhaiya is importing for house, for residential house, even if Babu Bhaiya is importing for residential house, it will not make a difference because import of service for consideration, be it personal purpose, be it business purpose, it will always be treated as supply under GST. Very good. Next question, Babu company received legal services. Now we have imported legal services from USA for $150 for our office purpose. So now we are saying that Babu and company has imported some kind of legal services from USA for consideration. Again, same clause, section 7(1)(b. Point number 1 was residential purpose and point number 2 here is office purpose. But both the cases, there is import of service for consideration. Then forget the purpose. It will always be treated as supply under section 7(1)(b. Very good. Point number 3, Kriti obtained consultancy services from her son staying in Germany for office purpose without consideration. So here we have Kriti in India. Kriti's son is staying in Germany and Kriti has obtained consultancy service. Now the son, being a good son, has not charged any amount from his mother. Tell me whether it is supply or not. Kriti, staying in India, imported consultancy services from his son for office purpose and son, being a good son, has not charged any consideration. Tell me. Very good, ma'am. Section 7(1)(c. Read with schedule 1, para 4. This is a supply because import of service from related person, own establishment plus in course furtherance of business. This point here. We have imported services. We have imported services from Germany. Kriti has imported services from Germany. Son always. See, spouse and children, whether dependent, independent, we've already seen that under family, my spouse and my children will always be related, which means my son is always going to be my related person. And this consultancy service is in relation to business. So all conditions being fulfilled, it is a supply under section 7(1)(c), schedule 1, para 4. Tell me yes or 1. Not para 2. Not para 2, guys. Understood, related person, business purpose. But this is import. This is particularly from Germany. Therefore, this is import. And import always falls under para number 4. It is a supply. The answer is yes. But under para 2, the answer is no. It is under para 4 because it is import of service. Seema, tell me, is it clear? 2 students said para 2 if I am not wrong. Chalo. Is it clear to everyone that this is not para 2, this is para 4 because the import is from Germany and therefore we have to treat it as import of service? Yes, ma'am. Okay, chalo. Next question. There is this Capture Digital Studio donated old camera to charity, and since being digital studio, camera was my business asset and I had taken ITC on the same. Tell me whether it is supply or not. Capture Digital Studio donated old camera. Now, first of all, there is a donation, means no consideration. No consideration, I have to check the 4 paras of schedule 1. Is it a permanent transfer? Yes. I am not going to ask back the camera after donating it. So, yes, permanent transfer. Was camera my business asset? Yes. Was ITC availed on the same? Yes. And therefore, all 3 conditions fulfilled. Section 7(1)(c), schedule 1, para 1. Section 7(1)(c), schedule 1, para 1, I will say that yes, there is permanent transfer of business asset on which ITC is availed, and therefore this will be treated as supply even without consideration. Yes, everyone, correct answer. Sure. Next question, Latika gifted an old car. Now, we are in a power batch, not under regular batch. So, we already know that the ITC on car is blocked, right? If you purchase motor vehicle up to 13 passenger seating capacity, the ITC is blocked. So, Latika, the car was used for business purpose, gifted this car to her friend. Tell me whether it will be treated as supply or not. First of all, it is a gift. Gift means no consideration. I have to check schedule 1. Is it permanent transfer? Yes. Friend is never going to give me back this car. Was the car business asset? Yes. But was ITC availed on the car? The answer is no. Because I am not able to satisfy all the 3 conditions, I will say it is not a supply because ITC was not availed on this free gift given. And it is not a supply under any clause of section 7(1). Yes, ma'am. But let's assume this Rich Private Limited sold a similar car for 5 lakh rupees to someone. Now is it a supply? Say yes or no? Yes, ma'am. Here it is for consideration. No. Whenever you come to for consideration, it becomes a general provision under section 7(1)(a). For section 7(1)(a), there is no condition of ITC being availed or not. Now, this is Rich Private Limited selling car for 5 lakh is a normal for consideration supply transaction made by a person in course furtherance of business. So, Rich Private Limited selling car for 5 lakh simply normally becomes a supply transaction under section 7(1)(a). Students get confused because I give this car back to back example. Here it is without consideration, therefore you need to check the ITC clause. If it is with consideration, then why to check the ITC clause? Yes, so for consideration 7(1)(a), this will be treated as supply. And then last question, Priyanka gifted an outfit worth 60,000 to her husband Nick. So Priyanka and Nick are husband and wife, which means they are related person, and Priyanka has gifted this outfit to Nick. Gift hai. It is a gift means it is without consideration. Quickly check the 4 paras of schedule 1 and let me know whether it is supply or not. Whether it is supply or not. Ma'am, see, Priyanka and Nick being related person, we will check para 2. We will check para 2. There is a supply between related person, but it is not for business purpose. There were 2 conditions to be fulfilled. That supply has to be between related person, distinct person, and only if it is for business purpose. Only if it is for business purpose, then we will be considering it as supply without consideration. Priyanka simply gifting clothes to her husband is not a business purpose, and therefore Nick is Priyanka's related person, but gift is not in course furtherance of business, and therefore it is not falling under schedule 1. We stick to the golden rule saying no consideration, no supply. Say yes or no, everyone. Is it 100% clear to all of us? So here we wind up section 7(1). Section 7(1), which talks about supply includes. Now, 7(1) says supply includes. Now, whenever we finish off a topic, there is no need to say this again and again. You have to drop some fire, heart, bomb, smile emojis in the comment section. It is just an expression to show that yes, you've understood, you're feeling confident and you're enjoying the classes. It gives me a lot of energy. So yes, whenever we finish off a topic, you have to automatically, if you are clear with the concept, drop a lot of hearts, fire, bomb emojis in the comment section. Yes, ma'am. Understood section 7(1) along with examples, along with clause numbers for now. It is okay even if you forget the clause numbers later on. Now coming to section 7(1)(a). We have understood it is a supply according to 7(1). Now 7(1)(a) will explain us whether it is supply of goods or it is supply of services. Now this is something that inter-CA students are also confident with. Means being at CA final level, I don't think any one of you would be facing an issue to identify whether it is goods or service. But still there are 1 or 2 points which I want to explain it to you. Otherwise than that, everything is very simple here. Even if I don't teach, chalo, let me directly ask you. Tell me, renting of immovable property, is it goods or service? It is service. Transferring title, it is goods. Giving only possession, it is service. We already know this, but still we are going to cover everything. So section 7(1)(a), read with schedule 2, which simply tells us what is goods and what is services. So first of all, if I'm transferring the entire title in goods, without a doubt it is goods. This bottle belongs to me. I've sold it to you. Now the bottle belongs to you. I've given the entire title of this bottle to you, which means I've sold the bottle. Bottle being a goods. It is a supply of goods. No doubt about it. Right. But at the same time, I'm giving this bottle just to use. I said you can keep this bottle for 3 days, use it and then give it back to me. Is it a transfer of goods? No. Then I will say it is supply of services. I'm not selling you the bottle. I'm just giving you the right or the share to use this bottle without transfer of title. Then it will be considered as supply of service. Okay. And this particular point with respect to hire purchase or sale on return basis, well, today I am only giving you the possession. Let's say I purchased a car on installment basis, EMI basis, hire purchase. So today I will get the car. I've got the possession. I've got the control, but I've not yet got the ownership because I'm yet to pay the EMIs, and only after the payment of my final installment, the ownership will be transferred to me. So today, this hire purchase transaction will be treated as goods or service. So here government has made it clear that your ultimate intention is to give the title. If not today, at a future date. Your ultimate intention is to give the title and therefore be treated as supply of goods today only. So title in goods to be transferred under an agreement which says that, okay, we are giving you possession today, but the property will be given on a future date when you finish off your all the payments and full consideration. Example, sale on return basis, hire purchase basis, but still the underlying objective, the intention is to give you title of goods. If not today, at a future date. So why not to treat it as supply of goods today only? Say yes or no, is this clear to all of us? Point 1 and 2 is very simple. Point 1 simply says giving entire title goods, giving only right services, giving right today, title at a future date still will be considered as goods only because the intention is to, if not today, at a future date, give you title also. Sale of land building not covered under GST only, but giving the land and building on lease, tenancy, easement, letting out, it is all supply of service, no need to explain. You doing treatment or process on some another person's goods. Let's say I send you a t-shirt and I tell you that I want you to customize this t-shirt for me, you paint it for me, you write something on it. Will it be considered as goods or service? Service. Now you might say that in the process of customizing the t-shirt, I used some paint, I used some thread. Now paint and thread are goods, but was your intention to sell me the paint? Was your intention to sell me the thread? The answer is no. Your intention was to work on my t-shirt, do some service on my t-shirt. Therefore, whenever you are applying some kind of a treatment or process on some another person's goods, and while doing this treatment, you might end up using some of your own goods, which is irrelevant. It will still be considered as supply of service only. The best example can be job work. Alright. Then transfer of business asset, very simple. Permanent transfer, supply of goods. Temporary transfer, supply of services. This point simply says that, let's say, I set up a business today. I purchased a lot of assets. I purchased air conditioner, I purchased a fridge, I purchased a TV, there's this table here and a chair. All of these assets I purchased and I kept availing ITC on all of them because they were for business purpose. Now today, I want to shut down my business. I am now ceasing to be a taxable person. I will no longer be a taxable person. Government says then in that case, we will treat as if you have deemed transferred all of these assets and we will be considering it as a supply of goods. How can you set up your business, avail ITC on everything, then discontinue your business? We gave you ITC because we were expecting that you will make sales, you will collect GST paid to government. Therefore, we gave you ITC on these business assets. But today, if you cease to be a taxable person, we will automatically assume as if all these assets are transferred and it will be treated as supply of goods. But there are two exceptions. Obviously, if you are giving this business as a going concern to someone, that person is going to carry out your business. Or let's say you died or you voluntarily taking retirement and some representative being a taxable person will continue your business. Then in that case, do not treat such transfer as a deemed transfer, because now the business is not closed. You are not ceasing to be a taxable person. It's just that the business will be carried out by someone else. So permanent transfer of business asset, goods. Temporary transfer of business asset, services. You're simply just giving right to use. And this case, when you cease to be a taxable person, it is also deemed a supply of goods. But two cases it is not. When you're giving as going concern, or when a representative is going to carry out your business. Renting of immovable property, again, no need to mention, it is supply of services. This point. Only this is for what I teach entire section 7.1a. Otherwise, then let's see, after this everything is very simple. Agreeing to do something, to not do something, it is all supply of service. Development, design, implementation, upgradation of software, again service. Giving right to use your IPR, intellectual property rights, it is all again services. Only this point is what we are required to study. See, sale of completed land building is outside the purview of GST. But if at all a complex or a site or a structure is under development, means completion certificate or first occupation has not come yet. CC or FO, whichever is earlier. Completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier. If you are paying the money, paying the amount before this, before CC or FO, before completion certificate or first occupation, then we will say there is no building, there is no civil structure because it is not yet completed. Then if something which is non-existent, how can you purchase it? Let's say there is this land. Construction is going on. The building is half complete. Today, there is no CC or FO issued yet. No CC or nobody has occupied the property yet. And today I pay 20 lakh rupees for this property. How can I say I purchased a building? Because there is no building. The building is still under construction, which means this amount that I am paying is not for building. This amount is essentially for construction services that I am availing to construct the building. Hey, hello. Is it clear? What did I just say? You said I purchased a building, but that building is not ready. How can you purchase something that is not existent? The building is still under construction. There is no completion certificate issued by the government, or there is no first occupation done, whichever is earlier, CC FO, whichever is earlier. If I am paying the amount before CC or FO, which means I am not paying the amount to purchase the building. I am paying the amount to avail construction services to construct the building, and therefore it will be considered as a supply of service. So you simply have to remember that for any complex, any building or civil structure, if you pay the consideration before CC FO, whichever is earlier, it will be treated as supply of service. The word before is very important. If anything out of CC or FO has happened and now you pay the amount, which means now it is for purchase of land building, and that is outside the scope of GST. So the word before here is important, as after would be treated as sale of land building, which is not covered under the scope of GST. Right, ma'am. This is all very simple. IPR, software and everything is services. Now the last point with respect to restaurant and works contract. Now see, if you go to restaurant, you go for two reasons. One, to eat the food. Second, to enjoy the services, enjoy the ambience. Which means restaurant is as such a composite supply considering of goods as well as services. But government has made it very clear that even if you go to restaurant just to have food, you are least concerned about the ambience. Still it will be considered as supply of service only. Same applies to works contractor. A works contractor also gives me service of construction and also gives me material that is used for construction, the cement, the bricks, the sand, everything. So particularly government has said that for a works contractor and for restaurant, you always treat it as service. Matter closed. No need to even discuss, no need to even think that goods, services both are involved. Government said, hey, we are clarifying this under 7.1a that works contract and restaurant will always be mandatorily treated as supply of service only. Here we wind up section 7.1a. Tell me, clear, confident with me. S for 7, S for supply. S for 7, S for supply, section 7 scope of supply. S for 7, S for supply, section 7 scope of supply. 7.1 says supply includes. Okay, understood what is included in supply. Then 7.1a said understood included. But let us see whether it is goods or service. 7.3 is just the time pass empowering section. 7.3 says that government has power. It is just an empowering section giving power to government to notify certain transaction as supply of goods not services or supply of services not goods. So today government can come up and simply say selling of lectures is supply of goods not services, or selling of lectures is supply of services not goods, and we have to accept it. So it is just an empowering section. So government can use the power of section 7(3) to notify any transaction as a supply of goods not service, or to notify any transaction as supply of service and not goods. This is all about section 7(3) done. Just a 1 minute section because there is no provision in it. It is just giving power to government that government may, on GST Council's recommendation, notify transaction that you can treat as supply of goods not service or supply of service not goods. Yes. And now coming to the last subsection of the chapter, which is 7(2), supply excludes. Everyone here with me. 7(1) said supply includes. 7(2) says supply excludes. 7(3) says government has power. And here 7(1)(a) simply says, 7(1)(a) simply says whether it is goods or services. Now section 7(2) has two clauses, 7(2)(a) and 7(2)(b). 7(2)(a) talks about schedule 3 negative list. To remember, I have made this mnemonic, just how fast the night changes. No, it is FB changes. FB changes. Simple mnemonic to remember the entire negative list under schedule 3. It says agreed. These things are goods or services. Agreed, it falls under the definition of supply as per section 7(1). But we particularly want to exclude it from the purview of GST, and therefore government has given this negative list of FB changes under section 7(2)(a) schedule 3. One by one, let us see what is this FB changes. F for services of funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. Yaar, let the person die peacefully. How can you levy GST on funeral services, right? So depending upon whether you cremate the person, bury the person, whatever you do, so funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, everything is included. So any service of F for funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. So taking the dead body from home to the Shamshan Ghat is also exempt under GST. So you call the dead body van, it will charge some consideration from you to take the dead body from home to the place of cremation. That service is also exempt, or that service is also not covered as supply under GST. So F for funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. B for bond to bond transfer. What is this bond to bond transfer? We've studied in customs. Now we are in a power batch. I have this liberty to take references of the chapters, right? So under customs, we know whenever you import something, you have two options. Either to directly clear the goods for home consumption, or you can deposit these goods into customs bonded warehouse. So let's say I've deposited the goods into customs bonded warehouse. I can deposit goods without payment of duties, right? So when my goods are lying in the warehouse, at the time when I clear the goods from warehouse, when I file the X1 bill of entry, at that point of time, I'm required to pay the duties, right? So today when my goods are lying in the warehouse, if I sell these goods to some another person, no GST will be levied on it. It will not be considered as supply. So when my goods are lying in customs bonded warehouse, no duty is paid on them yet. At that point of time, if I transfer these goods to some person, no GST will be levied. Why? Because ultimately this buyer, when he clears the goods from warehouse, at that point of time, he will be required to pay customs duty as well as GST on these goods. So for this particular only bond to bond transfer, GST will not be levied. However, the person purchasing the goods in this bond to bond transaction later on, at the time of clearing the goods, will be required to pay GST on the same. C means court or tribunal. Getting justice is obviously a basic, a natural right of any person. So if at all you are paying any fees in the court to file a case to, or under the tribunal, tribunal means basically NCLT or CESTAT or all of these kind of judicial tribunals, where if you pay any fees to get justice, it is not taxable under GST. Tribunal also covers Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, where being a customer, if at all you're cheated by any shopkeeper you feel, so you can go and complain at the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. That is also treated as tribunal here, and any fees that you pay under Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission is also not considered as supply under GST. H means high sea sale. What do we understand by the term high sea sale? Let's say I have imported something. I stay in India. I have imported something from USA. The vessel has left from USA. The vessel has left the port of origin. The vessel has left the port of exportation. The vessel has left the port of origin. The goods are in high sea. Or let's say even if the goods have reached India, but I have not yet filed bill of entry for home consumption. See, whenever we import something, we pay GST along with import duties only. So if I import something, the same time when I will pay my import duty, my custom duty, along with it only, I pay GST. So at this point of time, when my goods are in high sea, or even if my goods have reached India, but I have not yet cleared the goods, during this period, anytime if I sell my goods, this is known as high sea sale and no GST is levied on it. Ultimately, the person who has purchased these goods, he will be paying GST at the time of clearance of these goods while he is paying the import duties. Say yes or no, everyone. Bond-to-bond transfer and high sea sale run under a common fundamental, that in both the cases import duties are yet to be paid. So we simply say that when I am the original importer selling the goods to someone, don't levy GST. When that someone will clear the goods out of warehouse, or that someone will clear the goods for home consumption, at that point of time he will pay custom duty. At that point of time only he will also pay GST. Therefore, bond-to-bond transfer as well as high sea sale, both are not considered as supply under GST. A means actionable claims. Now see, we've particularly studied under the definition of goods that actionable claims are goods. Actionable claims are goods, but actionable claims they have given under the list of negative list. Means in spite of actionable claims being goods, we are not wanting to levy GST on the same. Except, here is the catch, except specified actionable claims. Quickly tell me the 6 specified actionable claims that I made you remember in the first half an hour of the session. And I told you we will require this when we go to the chapter of supply. Anyone, do you remember the 6 specified actionable claims? So all actionable claims fall under negative list. Except these 6, means GST will be levied on these 6 specified actionable claims. Other than this, any other claim to unsecured debt, any other normal actionable claim falls under negative list, no GST to be levied. Yes, very good. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. On these 6 specified actionable claims, GST will be levied. Except for these specified actionable claims, any other actionable claim falls under negative list schedule 3, no GST to be levied on the same. N means goods going from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India. Let's say goods from China are going to USA. The transaction is arranged by an Indian person. So I made the Chinese person and the American person meet. I settled the entire transaction, but the goods went straight up from China to USA. They never came to India. Now, any goods which have never entered the territory of India, how can you levy GST on the same? So, China is a non-taxable territory. USA is also a non-taxable territory. So, goods going from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India will also fall under negative list. G means government. So let's say I am a member of parliament, member of legislative assembly, or let's say I am sarpanch in a panchayat. I am holding some kind of a government post, constitution post for which I am getting remuneration. No GST to be levied on the same. E means employer-employee relationship. Now see, if I am working for my employer, I am basically providing services for which employer is giving me salary. This is a typical transaction which should fall under GST, but under negative list, they have excluded it. So whenever an employer gives you salary, perquisites, monetary benefit, bonuses, everything that forms part of cost to company, when you join a job, they give you this cost to company, right? So cost to company includes your salary, bonuses, perquisites, monetary benefits, everything which is under the contract of employment, and you get the money, no GST to be levied on the same. But let's say I joined the company to work as a marketing person, right? And my CTC was agreed at 12 lakh. So whatever I get as a CTC under my employment contract, no GST to be levied on the same. What happened one day, there was this leakage in the office. Immediately we required plumber. Now I knew basics about plumbing. I said I can repair that tap. But I will charge a consideration of 1,000 to repair that tap. Tell me whether this will be treated as a normal supply or not. I work as an employee in this company to do marketing work, but I have some idea about plumbing, and I said, okay, I can act as a plumber and repair the tap for you, but I need 1,000 rupees for the same. Will this be treated as supply? The answer is yes. Because this is not under the normal employment contract. Here I am a plumber. And they are recipient. Means on a principal to principal basis, we are doing some separate work which is not falling under the employment contract. That would be a supply. But being an employee, doing things under employment contract and getting remuneration in the form of salary, bonus, perquisite, benefits, everything will be treated as the negative list and not taxable under GST. And last S is sale of land and building. We already know this, subject to schedule 2, because in schedule 2 we have seen before CCFO it is supply of service. After CCFO it becomes sale of completed land building and covered under the negative list of GST. Alright, this is all about section 7(2)(a), negative list. One by one we see. FB changes. F, services of funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium including transportation of deceased. B, bond-to-bond transfer, supply of warehoused goods before clearance for home consumption. C, services by court or tribunal, and this includes consumer dispute redressal commission also. H, high sea sale, when the goods have dispatched from the port of origin, exporter has dispatched the goods, but the goods are yet to reach India, and even if reached India, they are yet to be cleared at the Indian customs. We call them as high sea sales. A is actionable claim other than specified actionable claim. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. This is the amendment here. Earlier it used to say specified actionable claim other than lottery, betting, gambling. Earlier only lottery, betting and gambling were covered here to be taxable under GST. But now they have widened the scope. Now they have used the word specified actionable claim, which means not just lottery, betting, gambling. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Everything is taxable. Other than that, any specified actionable claim will fall under the negative list. And one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without goods entering into India. G, government, member of parliament, state legislature, panchayat, municipality, constitution post holder, being on any post of a government body. E, employer, employee, but does not include services provided on a principal to principal basis. And S is sale of land and building, subject to schedule 2. This amendment as such is not relevant for your examination, just they have said that these three things, bond to bond transfer, high sea sale and entity to entity, non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory. These three things were inserted later on. So earlier in 2017 when GST was implemented, negative list was not including high sea sale, bond to bond transfer and one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory. These were included later on. However, now government came out with an explanation saying that we are assuming as if we had inserted them from 1st July 2017 only. We deemed it to be inserted with effect from 1st July 2017. However, if at all you have paid any taxes, then please now do not come and ask refund for the same. So let's say I made a high sea sale in July 2017. At that point of time, it was not in negative list. So I paid GST on the same. If you have paid, forget it. Do not come for the refund. But if you have not paid, then also government will not come to you now to ask GST because they are assuming as if it is inserted right from 1st July 2017 only. Not relevant for examination, just there was an amendment. So I had mentioned in the book. One last time, everyone with me. One last time, everyone with me. Negative list under GST FB changes. One word. Funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. You have to write, you've not come to my wedding. B. Bond to bond transfer. C. Court or tribunal, which also includes Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. H. High C sale. A. Actionable claims. But other than specified actionable claims, means specified actionable claims are taxable. Other than that, any other actionable claims falls under the negative list. N. One non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without goods entering into India. G. Government services constitution postholder. E. Employer-employee relationship. S. Sale of land and building. This is the negative list under 72A G. This is the negative list under 72A Schedule 3 under GST. That even if they are goods, even if they are services, even if they fulfill all the conditions, still we do not want to levy GST on the same, and we put them under the negative list of GST. Right. And last section 72B, which says government can even notify more services done by government, and government has till date notified 2 services. One is under Constitution, Article 243G and W. There are certain activities to be carried out by Panchayat municipality, like some sanitation services or repairing of street light. Then all of these services falling under Article 243G or 243W will neither be treated as supply of goods nor supply of services. And last is, see, today if I want to set up a liquor shop, I cannot wherever I wish put a board liquor shop and start the shop. यहाँ ठंडी beer मिलती है? No. You have to take permission of government. You have to specifically take permission license from state government. Only then you can set up the liquor shop. Then in this case, whatever amount you are paying to state government to get the liquor license, it will also neither be treated as supply of goods nor services, means no GST to be levied. There are other taxes, other amounts to be levied on the same. So particularly 2 activities carried out by government, central government, state government, local authority. Article 243GW, no need to remember what are the activities under these lists. The question will mention. You just need to remember 243G and W. What are the activities under it? The question will specify. And grant of alcoholic liquor license by state government. These 2 activities are neither treated as goods nor supply of services. Done? Yes. Chalo. It is good if you mention, Vijay. See, it is okay if you do not remember the section number. You can straight away write as per the provisions of CGST Act or as per the provisions of IGST Act, or even if you remember section number, you can simply write as per section 7. If you forget section 7 of CGST Act, that is fine. See, writing section number does not carry marks. Why I make you remember section number is just for that extra edge, extra confidence. Our target is not exemption. Our target is 83 plus, and also this is just one section that we've covered. Once we reach to section 20, 30, 40, you will realize you can just close your eyes and you can revise everything. Okay, section 7 supply, 8 this, 9, 10, 11. Otherwise, not remembering section number, you will need book to revise. If you remember section number, you can just close your eyes and right from section 7 till section 80, you can revise everything in a flow. That is the purpose of me making you remember section number. Even if you forget it, that's absolutely fine. Chalo. Done hai. We will keep this till here only. See, from tomorrow, we will stretch the session at least 4 hours, right? So 3.5 to 4, I give you a 15 minutes break. So excluding that, it might go till 11 o'clock every day. Today is first day. I don't want to make things heavy for you. Therefore, I'm leaving you early. Tomorrow's session will also be there on YouTube. Session 2 will also be there on YouTube. Just in case you have not enrolled for the batch yet, please do it. The link is in description box. The soft copy of question bank will be shared today in your drive link. The link for Telegram channel will be shared today in your drive link. All the block test papers along with the schedule, that how and which chapters are included in what block, so that you can prepare accordingly. Everything will be added in the drive link that will be provided to you today itself only. Tomorrow, one more day, we will keep the session on YouTube. After that, the sessions will be there on the app, and then they will be in the encrypted format. Yes, chalo. Everything to be shared in the notes. There is nothing sort of board notes. This is how I make my board notes, right? So if you ask me to share board notes in the drive link, this is what you're going to get. The notes, anyways, I've said that you need to get the hard copy of the notes. We are not sharing it in the soft copy format. For the first 2-3 chapters, I will share, because it might be possible you've ordered the books and you've not received it. So for first 2-3 chapters, I will share the notes in the drive itself. Otherwise than that, this is how I make my board notes. So there's absolutely no point sharing board notes with you. Whatever we do is from the handwritten notes only, and this is your God, this is your Bhagavad Gita that you need to follow for examination. Right, chalo. Thank you, Parth. Yes. Chalo. You will not be able to see the lectures on app today because we will start the lectures on app from day after tomorrow only. The first 2 sessions are on YouTube only. It is not like on YouTube and app both. The session that I took today and tomorrow, both will be on YouTube only. Particularly from day after tomorrow, only the sessions will start in app. And there, if you face any issue, the technical team will assist you. There's absolutely no problem. You will get a help video. So if you have received the link of the lectures already, there is a help video in it, like the proper screen recording of how to start the lectures. Still, if you are facing an issue, once I add you in the Telegram group, you can post your issue there and the tech sir will look into it. There's absolutely no problem. Chalo. Yes, I will provide the first few chapters in the soft copy till you receive the hard copy of the books. Because normally, considering this is English batch, so majority of you would be from South India. So it takes 2-3 days more to deliver books to South. If you are from Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, you get the delivery in 2-3 days only. But if you are from the southern states, then yes, it sometimes takes 5, 6, 7 days also. So consider this. Okay. You will get the link of the app in the drive and at the mail. No need to search anything at the Play Store, right? Chalo. This is all. If at all you have any other query, you can drop me on Telegram, the common Telegram channel. The link is in description. The particular batch Telegram, you will be added. But we anyways have our common group, so you can also post your issues there. Chalo. Yes, Vijay. Done hai? Chalo. I will try Parth, but I cannot commit that what you're saying. Chalo, so let's meet tomorrow. I hope you guys had a great time. If at all you feel there's any issue with the accent of English, with the pace, with the speed, you can just let me know. Considering English is not my first language, I will try and cope up with the language that you want. Otherwise than that, I hope we had a great time. See you all tomorrow. Till then, take care and bye-bye everyone. Keep revising, keep studying.